What's going on, Metallurgists? Welcome to another episode of Heavy Metallurgy, another Friday. Hope you all had a great week. We're on episode number 204. And I am joined by the most awesome co-host ever. Alan, how you been? What's been going on?
Doing okay. It's been a couple of weeks.
I was going to say, it's the first we've seen. Well, we saw each other the other night, but you know what I mean.
Last week we had the pre-recorded episode with Ian Christie, which went really great. 2 weeks ago, you had the Dark Throne deep dive with Roger and Ben and Austin. So yeah, been a few Friday nights off, but that's okay. I've been keeping busy and glad to be back tonight. We've got a really fun returning guest who brought a really, really cool idea with him to the show and looking forward to it. But it's going to take some time, so I don't want to drag things out too long. Any main show announcements we need to make before we get them out here?
No, just yesterday dropped a Elven King review. Check that out if you are curious about some new power metal. And Monday was the It was you and Logan
for the Lady Beast.
And, the Lady Beast and Savage Master.
Yep.
So a couple reviews to come up, and check those out. And of course, Wednesday Night Album Club on Regurgitate. So lots of crap for you to watch this week. Please go do so. And without further ado, welcome back to the channel, Patrick from Heavy Therapy. Welcome back, Patrick. Good to see you.
Glad to be back.
Yep, glad to have you back. Been trying to get you back. You're always on the short list of things. We tried once or twice where you weren't available, so glad you could join us this time.
Yeah. Awesome. What's been happening over at Heavy Therapy Land?
I'm still doing about 2 videos a month. I'm working on my top 40 death metal albums of the decade so far. I'll have probably part 1 out next week, and that's been fun going through a bunch of great new death metal. And tonight we're going to go through a bunch of great classic death metal. So yeah, all death metal all the time. I do cover other genres, but that is my favorite subgenre.
Oh, it is? Okay. Yeah. Right on. Well, you came to us. We usually invite the guest if they have to share any ideas they have for topics, because obviously Alan and I do this all the time, and it's nice to get other ideas brought to the table. And Patrick mentioned doing like a March Madness type of bracket tournament thing, which is kind of funny because I've never done a March Madness. I'm not a basketball guy, or I've never done it, so there had to be some extra splaining to this old thick-skulled guy. But
yeah, that's an important thing to point out to everybody in the chat. Any basketball March Madness related jokes you make are going to go right over Marty's head tonight. Oh, yeah. So just be prepared for them to miss him completely. With all of that, I used to do brackets all the time, so yeah, I kind of know that stuff. But yeah, Marty won't get any of the buzzer beater Cinderella kind of jokes and stuff. So
there's all this. The list said Cinderella. I'm like, what is this Cinderella thing? I mean, Night Songs is pretty cool. Whatever.
That's when I knew we were in a little trouble.
I mean, it's basically a single elimination tournament. There's 64 matches. We have actually 37 bands from 9 countries. I kind of figured that out today. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, single elimination tournament. When you lose, your album's, that album's out. The first album to get two wins out of us 3 are going to go into the next round. If there are albums that we haven't heard before, right, we're going to let the comment section, let the audience kind of take our choice, take our pick.
Yeah. There'll be a few that will, and there'll be some pairs. So yeah, the live chat, you guys will get to be the tiebreaker in a few cases.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I guess it's also important to state right now that this is a randomized list, and these lists they weren't placed in any sort of. It was randomized, and then when we fed it into the brackets thing, it randomized it again. So yeah, it's a giant shuffle. And how did we arrive at the ones we picked? Did you just find a list somewhere, Alan? And
most of it was pretty straightforward. We decided to stick mostly to just like first and second albums from classic death metal bands. So no recent bands, no Blood Incantations or Tomb Molds or stuff like that. And we didn't really go past the second album in anybody's catalog. There are 2 or 3 exceptions to that, but only a few. And we just figured that was kind of an easy way to pick the albums rather than laboring forever and ever about like, which Morbid Angel albums exactly do we put in? Right. Which Cannibal Corpse albums do we pick? And it's like, fuck it, just use the first two for most bands. In some cases, we only used one album, for a band, for example, like Demilich, where there's really only one album that's going to, be in contention or discussed much. So it's like, okay, we'll just use, the one album for a handful of bands like that. But yeah, most of it was, pretty straightforward when you thought about, what were the sort of, bigger bands and some of the bigger releases. Obviously, some of these, are going to be a higher tier than other. That's going to happen when you're coming up with 64 different, bands or albums to talk about. And there's always going to be some stuff left off. Yeah, James was already asking, like, why no Seven Churches? Like, because we just didn't have room to squeeze everything in.
It's not death metal. Ooh, what?
I can go with that too. But there's definitely things that aren't in that we would like to have gotten in, but you've got to cut it off at 64. I would like to have gotten Carillion Isthmus in. We didn't. I would like to have gotten An Evil Shade of Grey in.
Right.
Didn't happen. But, again, we've got a solid list. And like Marty said, it's been randomized twice. So we did not pair these up ourselves. It's a completely random number generated. And yeah, the chips will fall where they are at. If your favorite band gets knocked out or something, don't be a dick about it. This is for fun. There's no prizes or money or glory on the table. And the bottom line is, if you really want to be the best, then you got to beat the best. 63 albums lose tonight, and only one can actually win the whole thing.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
But, it will. Yep, it should be fun. So yeah, we're just going to work through. We're not going to discuss albums a ton because, there's too many matchups that we have to work through. We'll say the names of the albums, clearly for folks who are listening. We'll have the bracket on screen for those who are watching. For those watching, you may want to, sort of maximize, the browser screen so that's a little easier to see. And yeah, we'll work our way through. Like Patrick said, takes at least 2 votes to advance to the next round. If you get 0 to 1 votes, you're out. Single elimination, true March Madness style.
Right.
And I think there is 1 or 2 albums in the mix that are the third album, if I remember right. Isn't there something that
there are just a couple, and the reason that happened, basically we filled out pretty quickly the first 58 album choices, but I reserved 2 choices for each of us just to pick any classic death metal album that wasn't in the bracket. So Patrick got to pick 2. Marty got to pick 2, and I got to pick 2. And a couple of those are third albums that we felt really should be in the conversation. So if you see one of those, that's one of the kind of spoiler picks that one of the 3 of us added to the mix. But for the most part, nothing except for debut albums and sophomore albums are on the list.
So before we begin, do you guys have any criteria or deciding factors other than just this is your favorite album? Are you going to maybe factor in its impact, its innovation that it brought to this new subgenre that was coming into metal?
That's a good question. I personally am going to. I haven't perseverated on this list at all, really, because I want to. I guess part of the fun of doing this is having the the decision making process a part of the show. But for me. Yeah, there might be a little of that, but it's going to be personal preference. How many times I've spun something and how much the album means to me personally is going to probably, and nostalgia, it's going to go a lot further than, this album is really good because it's super technical and it changed the way that's great. But if I didn't listen to it as much as I listened to this other album, then it's not getting picked. But what do you guys think?
What's your approach going to be, Patrick?
I mean, it's going to just be, like Marty said, replay value, subjective, personal enjoyment of these albums. If it's super close, and they're if they're my favorite albums in this bracket, I might think about impact, history, what year they came out compared to the other album. But overall, it's about replay value. It's about, do I come back to this album or not over the other one? Overall, that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, that's kind of how I did it too. First off, the first factor for me is what do I like best in the pair-ups? But if it's really close, then it's okay, is there one that's maybe, kind of more of a real cornerstone, from the genre, really important for some reason? that plays a role if I'm kind of on the fence and need to
Right.
decide. And again, like Patrick said too, sometimes we're going to run into a pairing where we're not familiar with the albums or it's too close to call. In that case, we're going to let the live chat cast the tiebreaker. We'll basically say, okay, live chat, everyone's got 60 seconds to cast your vote. We'll count them as they go past. And after a minute, whichever one got the most votes, that'll make the deciding vote. So I've identified a few in this first round that I'm just going to take a pass on, and I'll let the live chat get involved and make some decisions too.
I'm pretty psyched going over this list. There's only one album on here I haven't heard ever, and it was The Grand Leveler by Benediction, and I listened to that today. All the rest of these albums I own or have dubs of over the years, so it was nice not having to do a bunch of homework tonight. So thank you again for that, Patrick. It's good. It's good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's see how this goes. Shall we roll with this?
Yep. Now the bracket was posted in the Heavy Metallurgy Discord. Was that last night or this morning, Marty?
Last night. Yeah. Well,
Okay,
it essentially was this morning about the time I got it up there, but
that's okay. But yeah, so if some folks in the live chat seem more familiar with the bracket, it's because it's been in the Discord and folks have had a chance to look it over today and think about it, complain about things we put in, complain about things we didn't put in, and so forth. But yeah, here we are looking at the bracket, and shall we begin?
Yep, let me get over to the main tab here. Okay, so we're going to start off. The first pairing is Nocturnus the Key against Atheists Piece of Time, which is cool because both are Florida bands, both out around the same time. Both are influential in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Both a little bit different from the norm.
Yep, they're all their own ways. They are technical in their own ways, and yeah. Patrick, we'll start with you. How do you like the way this looks?
That's fine. So Nocturnus the Key, Atheist Piece of Time, they both did come out in 1990. I think they are both going for a similar, like, technical, progressive death metal sound early on. They kind of innovated that sound. This is actually kind of hard for me because I do really like both of these albums a lot. It took me a bit to get into the Key. I didn't like it for a while. I don't really know why now because I really like the Key now. Very ambitious albums, both of them. So let's see. So I listened to Piece of Time more, but I probably do think the Key is slightly better. I just enjoy all the sounds they throw in using the keyboards. They both sound really great though. They both have an impact and a legacy that other bands that you hear now have definitely picked up from, such as Blood Incantation, Obscura. So I got to just think about my favorite tracks and compare them like that. They're both kind of two of the most unique sounding albums on this in this bracket. I think if I had to, which I do have to, I'm going to pick Nocturnus the Key over Atheist Piece of Time. And it just comes back down to I really love the guitar sound. It's like Slayer, Possessed, Morbid Angel, in a little bit of that traditional metal as well in the guitar leads. So I'm gonna go with the Key.
All right, we got one vote for Nocturnus. How about you, Ellen? What do you think?
You kind of on the same page as Patrick. Both cool albums. Both kind of unique with trying some different things within the death metal framework. Same actually kind of result. I probably play Piece of Time more often, but I am going to vote for the Key here. So,
wow. Okay.
And Marty, it's already decided, but what was your vote?
You lose.
Yeah. Well, I really do enjoy Nocturnus for the fact that the horrorphonic synth textures they brought to death metal. And I do like the vocals, but I don't like the way he sings. Mike Browning's vocals placement has always been very pedestrian, I think. He's got a great voice, but obviously playing drums and singing you're already splitting your brain in 4 quadrants to control each limb, and then you add vocalizing on top of it. Some guys can do it great. Chris Riefert from Autopsy is one of them. But I would have to say I'd have to go with Atheist. It's my favorite Atheist album. The songs, they walk the great line between technicality and memorability. So, yep, Atheist for me. Let me move over and move this to the next one. We have 2 for the key and one for Atheist. All right, the key has moved on. And the next batch is Morbid Angel's Blessed Are the Sick against Gorguts Considered Dead. That is another pretty decent pick. It really is. Good combo there. Patrick, what do you think?
Why don't we just go like Alan goes next first, and then you go next
Okay.
first? Is that how you want to
Yeah,
do it?
that's a good point. Yeah, we
fair.
shouldn't always have Marty voting last.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
As I start getting into these White Claws, you might have to remind me who's next.
That's okay. We'll work through it. So, sorry, Marty, we're on pair number 2 here, which is
Morbid Angel against Morbid Angel's Blessed Are the Sick against Gorguts Considered Dead.
okay. This one's easy for me. Definitely Blessed Are the Sick. Morbid Angel, one of my favorite death metal bands, and that's probably my favorite Morbid Angel album. So it's close with some others, but yeah, Considered Dead, nothing wrong with it, but no contester for me. I'm voting for Morbid Angel, Blessed Are the Sick.
All right. Patrick?
It's actually you.
Oh, it's me. Okay. See, I've had one sip of it already. I'm fucking up.
You get it.
I mean, these are both albums I've spun the crap out of. The tapes of these I wore out, but I do believe that Morbid Angel has a lot more character, and David Vincent's voice on here is just very stately and commanding. And I don't know, I always really enjoyed the musicality of it and how catchy it was, even though it had very dark. I don't know. I'm definitely going with Morbid Angel on here.
Okay. And Patrick, what was your vote, just for history?
Yeah, so I'm just going to give a brief this is a good comparison because I do think they are, they're in that similar subgenre of or subgenre of death metal, right? Technical, a little bit brutal, but not brutal death metal, but heavy, fast. I do think, so I like Gorguts a lot. I like more Gorguts albums than Morbid Angel albums. This is not my favorite Gorguts album. Blessed Are the Sick is one of my favorite Morbid Angel albums. It has better guitar work than Considered Dead. In fact, the guitar work's just kind of too good to choose against it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Blessed Are the Sick.
Oh, it's a blowout then. Let me update this. We got 3-0. All right. Okay, we're moving on to the next bracket. We've got Obituaries, Slowly We Rot against Carcass's Symphonies of Sickness. Oh man, there's no competition here.
There is.
Is it my turn to go first?
Yeah.
You go first. I'm going second, and we're going to put Patrick on the spot here because I already know how the first 2 votes are playing out.
Right, I got you.
For me, there's no competition. Symphonies of Sickness is probably one of my favorite. It's a toss-up between Symphonies and Necroticism, are 2 of my most favorite ever death metal albums. And it's a sound that Carcass, that it launched the gore grind revolution, but it's a band that moved away from just a snarled mess on their debut and figured out the sound, they figured out the riffs, they figured out the songs. There's really good songs here once you get past the novelty of the pitch shifter and the back and forth vocals, which I love, but there's actually really good, sharp, nasty riffs on here that never get old. I could throw this album on no matter how many times I've heard it, and it's still, I'm just excited to listen to it. So yeah, Symphonies of Sickness. I mean, Obituary's great. They're great. I'm just gonna say that, but the songwriting is just, it's 2 different worlds, and I definitely side more on the more complex and sinister stylings of Carcass.
Yep, that's all fair. I'm still taking Slowly We Rot.
Do tell.
There's not much to say. I just prefer it. I have nothing against Symphonies at all. It's fine. Slowly We Rot, whenever I go back to that album, it's always better than I remember it. And I remember that I like it. but then I play them just like, damn, this is even better than I remember it. I like the heaviness. I love the very strong Celtic Frost kind of vibes to it. So yeah, I'm going to take Slowly We Rot here, and we're going to make Patrick. This is the first one where it hasn't been a 2 votes our way. So Patrick's going to have kind of the deciding vote here, or he can bail out and make the chat decide.
No, I won't bail out on this.
I didn't think you would.
So this is easy for me as well. There are a couple of death metal bands that I have never been able to get into, and Obituary is actually one of them. They're like a 7 out of 10 for me kind of band. Like all their albums are fine.
That's a perfectly fair assessment, by the way.
All their albums are fine. I've heard them all. I don't listen to any of them. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Carcass, of course, here.
Okay.
My favorite track is Ruptured in Purulence.
Oh yeah.
Carcass was important for innovating, basically they created gore grind, death grind. They weren't the very first to do like medical lyrics, but a very important band here in this early few years of death metal, and I have to go with Carcass.
All right.
That's fair. Yep.
Symphonies moves on, and next we have Sentence.
Poor Simon's blood pressure's already getting out of control. We're putting him through the ringer early, it sounds like.
Well, he should be completely into symphonies. Is he mad about that?
No. He's happy about that, but he was worried there for a minute.
Oh, right. Next up, we have Sentence, Shadows of the Past up against Hypocrisy's Penetralia.
I think this is me again, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Hypocrisy is a band that I don't listen to very often. I do like this album. I always forget how powerful Peter's vocals are on this album. Actually, it sounds like he's chewing on rocks.
He actually doesn't sing on this. The guy that went on to be in Dark Funeral sang on this.
Okay.
He sang on the first 2 albums.
Right.
And
he sounds like he's chewing on whoever it is. Sounds like he's chewing on rocks and eating cigarettes on this album. A good evil sounding album. Sentence though this is one of my favorite albums from Finland. I feel like the guitar tone is Swedish, but the riffing style is more American. The vocals are a bit like Van Drunen. A new band that I like a lot is Witch Vomit, and they pull a lot from Sentenced. So I gotta go with Sentence, Shadows of the Past.
Okay, so we got 1 vote for Sentence, Shadows of the Past here.
Thanks, Jake, a lot for the super chat. We appreciate that a bunch.
Thank you. Yes, I'm way behind on the chat, so I haven't even got there yet.
All right, and again, we'll try to keep up with the chat tonight, but having to deal with the bracket thing, I'm not focused as much on the chat. So.
You take care of the bracket, and I'll take care of the chat as much as I can.
All right,
Marty.
cool.
For my pick on this one, I like both these albums very equally, so I'm going to kick this one to the chat and give them their first chance to vote. So, chat, you have 60 seconds starting right now. If you've already mentioned your pick in the chat, you've got to type it again for it to count here. All right, I'm starting. So you got 60 seconds.
Patrick, you picked Sentence, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Zach picks Hypocrisy. That's 1 for Hypocrisy. So Zach's comments, the first one is C. Another for Hypocrisy, 1 for Sentenced. So 2-1 Hypocrisy. And that got Jack's vote. Then we've got Hypocrisy, Sentenced, Hypocrisy, 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 Sentenced. Hypocrisy's ahead by 4 at the moment. There's a Sentenced.
Abstaining.
LKV wants no part of this. That's okay.
He's protesting with it with no vote.
Lawful Sentenced. Okay, Sentenced. Hypocrisy is ahead by 2. Hypocrisy gets another vote. They're up by 3. Sentenced. So Hypocrisy ahead by 2. That's Devin's vote. Is that Sentenced gets a vote? So now Hypocrisy is ahead by 1. David puts Hypocrisy ahead by 2. Give this a few more seconds to wrap up. Anyone wants to vote? After David, Hypocrisy is ahead by 2 votes at the moment. We've got another Hypocrisy and another Sentence, so score doesn't change. All right.
Next one's a tiebreaker after Promethean Metal Radio. Yeah.
Yep. Well, no, Hypocrisy is ahead by 2. So the chat has voted for Hypocrisy.
Let's just do that.
But Patrick has voted for Sentenced. So Marty, you get the deciding vote on this one.
All right. Well, the Sentenced album rules. I think it's a great record. I found myself listening to. I'm going back to when this stuff came out. I listen to Hypocrisy a lot more because I got that first. And honestly, the sentenced albums that came after, I like much better. So I'm going to have to go with Hypocrisy on this one. Granted, Hypocrisy got way better. Obsculum Obscenum is a really good record. Really brutal, but it isn't really until Fourth Dimension and Abducted until that band really, really blew up for me. But yeah, so Hypocrisy is 2-1 on this one, correct?
Yep. So Hypocrisy knocks Sentenced out of the bracket. All right. Where do we go next, Marty?
Let me get this done there. Okay, next up is Death's Leprosy up against Gorgut's Erosion of Sanity. We've got 2 second albums pitted together. Another good pick for sure. Death Leprosy against The Erosion of Sanity by Gorguts. And it is Alan's turn. Yes. Yeah.
Leprosy. I like the Gorguts album, but it's not going to beat Leprosy. So enough said.
Okay, Patrick. Oh wait, I just witnessed me. Yeah, I think I definitely enjoyed and still do enjoy the Gorguts record. I haven't listened to it in a minute. But Leprosy, I think, was definitely in my tape deck the most back then, for sure. Not my favorite Death album, but it's, I think, better than the Gorguts. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, so this is not one of my favorite Death albums, actually.
Neither.
It's towards the bottom for me. Very mid-paced, a lot of groove. Of course, I like it. It's also, though, not my favorite Gorguts album. I will go with Leprosy, though, for sure.
Okay, that's a complete blowout. Let me see, 3, 4.
Yeah. And it is a good Gorguts album. I like that one. I've played it quite a bit recently.
All right. Next up, we've got Desultories Into Eternity up against Suffocations Pierced from Within.
All right. I want to start this one and let the chat have the first vote, if that's okay, guys, because, again, these both albums are both okay for me, but I'm not married to either one of them. So, chat, you have 60 seconds to vote for Desultories Into Eternity or Suffocations, is it Pierced?
Yep. Pierced from Within.
All right, chat, 60 seconds.
Which might be their best album. That might be their best album. So good.
So this pick here was my wild card pick, since it's it's not their second album, but it was my wild card pick because it's still an early album, 95. It's still a classic. That's why I chose it.
Right. Let's see. Got a lot of votes for Suffocation. One for Desultory so far. Another Suffo. All right, Desultory is going to need some votes real fast to catch up in this. I don't know if it's happening.
Nah, it's not going to happen. Suffo's is a complete blowout. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can call that. Okay, the chat's definitely going for Suffocation. So that's vote number 1. So let's see.
Patrick is next.
So, yeah, this was my wild card pick. Obviously, it's one of my favorite death metal albums, period. I think this is one of the best examples of, like, it actually still blends. So it's actually still an old school death metal album that blends brutal and technicality in a great way that I still think is closer to old school death metal than, like what became brutal death metal, what became technical death metal.
Yep.
Some of my favorite guitar work here from Terrence. I love this album. Of course, I'm going with Pierced from Within.
I'm going to have to go with you on that too. I'm going to have to go with Suffocation. They really got better they got better at songwriting on this album. And, you're right. It's a perfect mix of old school death metal and technicality. It doesn't, granted it launched a million slam bands and a bunch of other brutal death metal bands, but, they can't be blamed. It's not their fault. But
nope.
Pierce from Within is a really great brutal death metal record that actually has musicality, the songs that stick with you. That's why it's one of their best. So definitely for me, it's Suffocation as well. So that's a complete blowout as well. And we get down to here. That's a 0. And that's a 3.
Yeah, James, there may have been some better matchups, but again, this was a list that was randomized and then put through a second randomization filter. So yeah, we didn't pair them up any particular way. It's all the random number generator's fault.
Yep.
All right,
And
Marty.
we've got another pretty cool mix up here. We got Cannibal Corpse Butchered at Birth up against Monstrosity's Imperial Doom, which is kind of funny. We've got Cannibal Corpse and then the singer that eventually went on to helm Cannibal Corpse. So is it my turn now?
I believe it is. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Oh boy. This is definitely my favorite Monstrosity record. There's just something really special about it. I like the production of it a lot. The drums are kind of perfectly mixed and just super heavy. And Corpse Grinder, his voice on here is just searing. He does a lot of the higher screams, which as Cannibal Corpse went on, he kind of stopped doing it. He kind of sticks with his mid-range brutal moans or growls or whatever. Butchered at Birth, I prefer the thrashiness of the debut. Butchered at Birth, the drums to me were very dimensionless. There was something about I think it's a good record. I listened to it a lot when it came out, but I think the biggest thing for me was the album cover. It is a good album with a great cover, great disgusting album cover, but I think musicality wise, drum performance, vocals, it's all Imperial Doom for me on this one.
Okay.
So Monstrosity for me here. I know people are probably like, oh my God, what? But yeah. Patrick, what do you think?
My favorite Corpse Grinder album here.
Yep. Easy.
Yeah. Kind of death meets malevolent creation sound, a little bit of Nile in the solo guitar parts. Just a great example of early death metal. Yeah. Butchered at Birth. I don't listen to a lot of Chris Barnes' Cannibal Corpse. Actually, I do prefer the debut album over this one.
So I like the Bleeding a lot too. The Bleeding's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Going to go with Imperial Doom.
All right. Alan.
Cool. Well, it's already kind of decided. I was going to let the chat decide because I like Imperial Doom. It's also probably the Cannibal album I know best. So I was going to let the chat throw because it's kind of a coin flip for me. But yeah, we'll just we'll skip that formality and we shall go. There was a lot of love for Monstrosity in the chat, which was cool to see. But yeah, Butchered at Birth is no more, and Imperial Doom will advance.
I actually don't own that album. I can't find it. It's hard to find now.
It is. It's one that is desperately in need of a repress. It's a real expensive pain to try to track down. Even if you find it, it costs a fortune.
Right. Yeah.
I have the OG cassette I got when it came out, and then I ended up buying not only one, but two different Russian bootlegs of it, one of which went to Jeff Wagner, and yeah, if I had a third one, I'd send it to you, Patrick.
No, it's all good.
Not that we want bootlegs, but that's all you can find.
I'll take a bootleg of this one for sure.
And they were good bootlegs too. The covers are actually pretty well done.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a couple of other really quirky pairings that showed up even after two randomizations. Yeah, we'll run into those in a little bit. But Marty, what do we have as our next pair?
All right, we've got oh man, this is such a blowout. Cancers to the Gory End up against Demigod Slumber of Sullen Eyes.
Okay.
UK against Finland. It's my turn, isn't it?
It is your turn.
Well, I struggle with English thrash and I struggle with English death metal. I just do. I think it's okay. And Cancer is one of those bands that's always just okay to me, but I've never seen or understood the hype around them other than, Death Shall Rise, the album after you had James Murphy in the band, which during this era, James Murphy was in every band for a while, it seems like. But you want dark, evil, just atypical riffing. Slumber of Sullen Eyes, the Finnish death metal sound here just really, really excels, I think. It's a very dark, well-written, awesome album. And it's really no competition. It's just way more advanced than To the Gory End. The Gory End is very simplistic. Yeah, there's just no contest. It's Demigod for sure, for me. What do you think, Alan?
Yeah. Cancer has grown on me a little bit. I've revisited some of their stuff lately. It's like, okay, it's better than I remember it. They were a band that I didn't connect with back in the day either. But still, yeah, this isn't much of a contest here, really. Some folks have pointed that out. And yeah, this is, I think, one of the more lopsided ones we've seen so far. So for me, at least, yeah, definitely going with Demigod. So, Patrick, would you like to cast your vote for the record?
Not that my vote, yeah. For the record, I'm going to go. So, yeah, I do like Cancer. I enjoy Cancer. I like Cancer better than Obituary if I'm going to pick like a more straightforward band to listen to. I like the vocal approach better than John Tardy. But, yeah, Slumber of Soul and Eyes, it's that Altars of Madness meets like Incantation, sort of murky, darky atmosphere that the Finns do well. Gotta go with Slumber of Soul and Eyes.
All right. Let me make it happen here.
Yep, punch it on in.
All right, next up, we got one of my picks to be added to this list, and that's Gorefest False against Cannibal Corpse Eaten Back to Life. Yeah, what do you guys think about this one?
Am I up first this time?
Yep,
I think so. Go ahead, Patrick.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so I kind of already said this. I do like Eaten Back to Life. I do think it is death metal, even though it's kind of, has thrash elements. But Gorefest False, interesting, memorable, dark songs. It's a guitar lover's dream. So it is an easy pick for me. Got to go with Gorefest. It's my favorite Gorefest album out of the first two.
Yeah.
The two, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with False.
All right, we've got a vote for False. I'm going to give the chat my vote on this one because I don't have much of any history with Gorefest on this album, so not fair for me to pick necessarily. Chat, I'm going to start counting what y'all are voting for. You got about 1 minute to get your votes in. We've got a Gorefest.
Zach, good point. This Ed Warby is the deciding factor as far as drummers go. He blows it away for sure.
Let's see. Got another Gorefest. A lot of Gorefest love here early. Gorefest. I thought there would have been more love for Eaten Back to Life. Gorefest, Cannibal. Neanderthals going Kendrill. Rhinefest, Gorefest. Second vote for Cannibal, Gorefest. Cannibal gets 3, but Cannibal's way behind. Let's see. Unless there's a last second push for Cannibal, Gorefest is going to take this one. Another Gorefest. Another Cannibal. All right. No, Gorefest raced out to an early lead, and Cannibal is not showing any sign of catching up. Another vote for Gorefest. So, yeah, I think Gorefest has this one.
Yep, obviously my pick here, and I love this band. This is one of the bands early on that broke my heart because the one that followed this record really sucks. It's really erases. Whoa. Bad. It's death and roll, but it's bad death and roll. And but this record, False, is expertly written, very catchy, simplistic riffs. A fantastic drummer. The production of this is great. Jan's vocals are awesome. So yeah, to me, it's a top 10 death metal record for me for sure. So yeah, I guess that's a blowout too. Sorry, Cannibal. Let me get this.
Cannibal having a tough time of it here so far.
There we go. All right, next up is another Battle of the Brits. We've got Bolt Throwers and Battle There Is No Law up against Benediction's Subconscious Terror. We got Mark Barney Greenway on vocals on this album. And yeah, Bolt Thrower against Benediction.
All right, I think I go first on this one.
Yep.
Bolt Thrower, definitely. I do like some of the Benediction material, but they're no Bolt Thrower. So I'm not going to belabor the point. We know Bolt Thrower. We love Bolt Thrower. In brackets, there is no law. So we definitely pick Bolt Thrower.
Okay.
All right. Marty, what is your pick here?
For me, we were talking backstage, I think. Or I don't know where we're talking about this. I may have mentioned it on here. But Benediction, for me, their really, really good album is Transcend the Rubicon. I really always enjoyed that record. Everything else I've heard by them has been very boring. and this is one of them. I mean, I don't mind it. Barney does a good job on it, but yeah, I'm going straight for the punk / grind, war metal conglomeration of Bolt Thrower here. They had just such a great sound and such a great band. So, yeah.
All right.
Patrick?
All right.
Yeah, so in terms of similarities, this is a cool pick because they both kind of have a charming quality to them, in my opinion, in terms of the production, in terms of being raw, primitive. I never listened to this Benediction album.
Oh, God.
I don't listen to Bolt Thrower all that much either, but I like the first song a lot on this Bolt Thrower album. So yeah, I'm gonna choose In Battle, There Is No Law.
Okay.
All right. So Bolt Thrower sweeps that one.
Okay, up next we've got two more Florida bands together. We've got Massacres from Beyond against Obituary's Cause of Death.
Marty, I think you're first this time.
Yeah, this isn't really even much of a. I am not a big Massacre fan. I'm just not. I've checked out a comeback album of theirs, and it's a bit better. But just the riffs were always kind of boring for me. And Cam Lee's voice, I know people think he's amazing, and he is a good singer. He's not for me. And Cause of Death by Obituary is, for me, the Obituary album that everybody should own. The first two are the ones you should really own by this band. There's other good ones in their catalog, don't get me wrong, but whenever I want to listen to Obituary, it's Cause of Death. So for me, Cause of Death is the easy finish him victory.
All right. So Obituary gets the first vote, and Patrick.
Okay.
Are you going to nail the coffin shut or kick it open?
So, like I did say earlier, I'm not a fan of Obituary. I've listened to Cause of Death. I try to revisit their entire catalog. It never sticks with me. I do like this Massacre album. I think Cam Lee has great aggressive vocals here. My favorite track is the first track. I think this is albums where Corpse Grinder got his name from, which is a cool little factoid. Because there's a song called Corpse Grinder on it. I like this. I think it sounds good. I enjoy listening to From Beyond. I listen to it frequently. So I'm choosing Massacre here.
Okay.
All right. So 1-1. So, all right. Then I am the tiebreaker this time. I've revisited the Massacre album recently. Yeah. And again, it's not that bad. It's better than I remembered it. Massacre was another one that I think I first discovered Massacre about the time I was starting to get a little oversaturated on death metal. So it didn't make a long positive impression on me. But going back to it, it's really not that bad. But Cause of Death is, kind of for most people, it's the Obituary album. Again, I like Slowly We Rot a little bit more, but I understand that's, a minority opinion. But yeah, I'd have to go with Cause of Death out of these two. So Obituary will take that win, but it was a 2-1 split.
All right. Next up, we've got Malevolent Creations Retribution, which I believe is a third album. So that's a...
is it? I was thinking it was second, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Is
it the second too?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
Stillborn is
Ten
the
Commandments
third.
is first.
Stillborn is third.
Stillborn's third, yeah.
Right. So you got Malevolent Creations Retribution up against Asphyx the Rack.
All right. And, whose turn is it to go first on this one?
I think it's Patrick.
Okay. Yeah. So one of my favorite modern death metal bands, progressive death metal bands, is Horrendous, and I hear a lot of influence in the vocal style here from. So Damien Herring of Horrendous sounds a lot like Martin Van Drunen on this album.
Oh yeah.
So for me, that's a sticking point that I enjoy. Another straightforward, band for sure, but I like the Rack a lot. Not every riff is amazing, but then there's always these good riffs that come after kind of like an average sounding riff, in my opinion. Malevolent Creation Retribution, good album. I don't know the last time I listened to it though. That's like, I don't frequently listen to it. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna listen to the Rack like more often. So yeah, I'm gonna choose the Rack here.
Okay.
Alan.
Yeah, this was one of the tougher ones for me in the first round. I don't know all of Malevolence Creations catalog, but this is definitely my favorite among the ones I do know. I like this album a lot. But I also like The Rack a lot, and Asphyx is a band that ranks pretty high for me. I really just like, they were kind of, a slower, doom death approach to a lot of the stuff. So yeah, this one kind of sucks. The chat's really split on this one too, which I think is interesting. A lot of the ones so far tonight have been leaning one way or the other in the chat, but this one is a much closer call. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think I've got to go with The Rack as well. But definitely with sadness. This is one of those buzzer beaters where you kind of feel bad for the losing team. Marty, what was your vote for posterity?
The Rack all day long. It's another one of those top 20 or 30 favorites. I've always loved. I mean, Van Drunen just sounds absolutely agonizing on it, and the riffs. You turn this thing up, it just absolutely shreds your speakers. There's so much power and woomph in the riffs, and it's just a great mix of death and doom in this one. And it's just, they do it in a very European way. It doesn't really latch onto the English vibe. It's just its own thing. It's just heavy as balls, man. It's just such a great, well-written album, and Van Drunen is icing on the cake here. So yeah, for me, it's The Rack. That is not even a hard discussion for me.
Okay.
So 3 for The Rack and 0 for Malevolent. All right. Another one of my picks in here, Gorefest's debut, Mind Loss, up against Incantation's Onward to Golgotha.
Okay. And Marty, you go first on this one.
Mind Loss is a fun death metal album. It's simplistic. It's really catchy. It's heavy. But Onward to Golgotha is one of those records that's just so special. It's got the first time hearing it, I'm like, what is up with this production? I don't get it. But it just adds such a evil, scary vibe to this death metal. And Craig Pillar's voice on here is just demonic. The riffing is amazing. The songwriting is really, really good. This is a classic death metal record for a reason. It had darkness and replayability to it. It's just a really good combination. For me, it's Incantation. There's a reason why a million bands rip off Incantation, because they really did corner the market on superiorly evil death metal.
Okay, 1 for Incantation. Patrick, you get vote number 2.
Okay, yeah. I agree with what Marty's saying. I mean, the Incantation album is just super special.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said every modern death metal band is trying to sound like this. If they have any kind of atmosphere at all, any kind of darkness to the sound, they're trying to sound like this album.
Yep.
But yeah, and it still holds up. Replay value, I can always put on this album. I do like Mind Loss, actually.
Yep.
Some of the most guttural vocals, out of all these bands are going to be heard on that Mindless album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's an easy choice for me. Onwards to Golgotha.
Right on. Alan, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Golgotha, classic. So no contest for me on this one.
All right. That brings us up to Pestilence, Consuming Impulse, up against Demolix, Nespite.
Is this me or you, Alan?
I think it is you go first, yeah, because I was the last vote on the last one. So it's your turn to go first.
Yeah. Maybe the best ever death metal album from Finland here. Against a great album from Pestilence, but technical avant-garde stuff here from Demolage. I don't play guitar, but obviously I love guitar-driven music, and this is a guitar lover's dream as well here on this album, or nightmare, I should say. A blueprint for a lot of weird, twisting modern death metal bands, and none of them nail it the way that Demolage does here. I don't have a favorite track because they're all my favorite track. Yeah, gotta go with Nespith or Nespite, however you say it.
However, yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an anagram for the spine.
Yeah.
Apparently,
All right. So I'm next. Let me look at this again. This is a tough one. That Consuming Impulse album is, I mean, definitely Van Drunen's most, dehydrated sounding vocal performance. You know, he got Dehydrated on there, and his voice is just absolutely miserable. The riffs are so crushing. Demilich is Demilich. I've always thought the Predator vocals were fun. Really technical, yet maintaining a sense of replayability, which a lot of bands that go the tech route, they kind of forget that sometimes. They're more interested in complex arrangements and riffs than they are writing a good song. So this is harder than I thought it would be.
This is one of the hardest ones I think we've hit so far.
Yeah. I will say, the formative years, I listened to Consuming Impulse endlessly, and I was a little later to the Demilich album. I'm going with Consuming on here. I'm going with Consuming Impulse.
Okay.
You got to break the tie, Alan. What do you got?
Boy, yeah, this is a tough one to break it on too. I've thought about letting the chat decide this one, but the chat is also pretty split on this one. I've been keeping an eye on it, and a lot of Demilich love, but certainly some Pestilence love as well. So I guess I will just man up and make a decision here.
How can you not ever hear Trauma again? Or, I mean, what a great song.
I mean,
Out of the Body. Oh my God.
They're both fantastic albums. Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to question that. Yeah, both of these are really strong ones. For me, I think it's going to come down to kind of something that Zach said a minute ago with his vote. He has a lot more history with one of these albums than the other one, and that was kind of his deciding factor, and it's going to be the same with me. So I have got to vote for the band and the album I've known the longest, which is Consuming Impulse. And I hate to leave, Demilich out of future rounds, but sometimes you run into a really tough one on the first round, and it did this time. So, yep, Pestilence will be 2-1 here, but that's a tough one to lose in the first round.
Patrick's going to flip a table. I'm just waiting.
I completely get it. Demilich would probably have beaten at least
most.
50 out of the 63 other teams in this first round without me even doing the math. This was one of them that's it's close. I'm going with my gut, and my gut says Consume the Impulse.
See, it's actually not my favorite Pestilence album, which we'll get to. That's just why that was kind of also easier for me.
There you go. All right, well, next up on our little journey here, we've got Benediction's A Grand Leveler up against Entombed's Left Hand Path.
And then you get matchups like this.
Yeah. I believe it's Patrick?
No, I think it's you.
It's me? Oh.
Wait.
No.
I was third that time, so...
I did the last one first, so I think it's...
Okay, so it is Patrick. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've actually never heard The Grand Leveler either. As Marty said earlier,
it's pretty.
And obviously, Left Hand Path, maybe the best use of HM2 in death metal history, maybe the first use of HM2 in death metal history. Every song is a standout song. Got to go with Left Hand Path.
Yep. There's not. If I see one Benediction vote in the chat, I'm going to be suspicious. Very suspicious. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can wrap this one up pretty quick. Let's let Entombed advance and move right along.
All right, next up is just members Indecent and Obscene up against Pestilence Malleus Maleficarum. Kind of a hard pick there too, to be honest.
Yep. Who starts this one? Is that
what
mine?
The hell is we were using a bracket thing, and now we're getting all these March Madness bots. Yeah, I'm deleting them as we go. Okay.
So, do I vote first on this one?
Yeah, I think so.
Everybody want to get an in-depth view of what the album club thought of Malleus Maleficarum? Go to check it out on the channel, where it's a pretty long, fun discussion we had.
Oh, that's right. I forgot y'all covered that one.
TJ pick one of his favorite albums ever, for sure.
With good cause. It's an excellent album. Yep. I did not get into this one until long after Consuming Impulse. Just never did for some reason, but yeah, it is a great album for sure. Yeah, and Dismember is a band they're not bad, but yeah, they don't register as strongly with me as they do a lot of folks. So this one's pretty easy for me. I will vote for Malleus Maleficarum and try to see if I can get 2 Pestilence albums into the second round here. But to do that, I've got to get another vote. And Marty, you vote next.
Okay. Kind of a hard one. Malleus is definitely a little on the thrashier side. It's kind of funny. The first 3 Pestilence records sound different from each other.
Mm-hmm.
There is no telling how many times I spun Indecent and Obscene. When that album came out, that was a first day purchase for me. Thankfully, the record store here in town, I believe it was Camelot, they had it when it came out. I gleefully bought it and spun the ones and zeros off that disc. So for me, all day, it is Indecent and Obscene. I do love Malleus Maleficarum, but I prefer consuming a bit more. So, yep, Dismember for me.
Okay, so
right.
Patrick.
So this is my favorite Pestilence album. I think it is a death metal album, Marty. I understand that it's not. It has thrash in it. It's considered proto-death for some people.
Yeah, it's leaning, but there's death. There's still death in
this
there.
This is a death metal album for me.
Yeah.
One of my favorite albums on this list. Period. I love the guitar riffs and the guitar tone.
Great.
I have heard this Dismember album, but I actually don't go back to it very much. Yeah, and it wouldn't matter because this album rules. So yeah, I'm choosing Pestilence here.
Okay.
All right.
Malleus a tiebreaker.
Yep. Malleus advances over Dismember's Indecent and Obscene.
All right. Let me get that up here. I
agree with Zachary in the chat too that I like all 4 of the first Pestilence albums. I think they're great.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that also.
Yeah, and they're all different. So that's cool.
This next one kind of breaks my heart. This is Sinister's Cross the Sticks up against Death, Scream, Bloody Gore.
Yeah, this one's
one tough. This is a tough.
I think we all groaned when we saw these 2 got paired against each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I might abstain here just for the hell of it.
You can certainly. I'll start counting in the chat because it might happen.
Who's first?
Who is first?
I just did Marty, you're first on this one.
I'll try to keep track. Okay.
I love Cross the Sticks. It is one of my favorite death metal records. I love it. I love it because it's their most thrashy. It's an album that doesn't sound like musically like the rest of their catalog. In fact, I was a bit disappointed when Diabolical Summoning came out because they went for more of the Florida death metal sound on that one. Cross the Sticks is just crazy technical with these weird measures and time signatures and how things start and stop, and it's just put together like a bunch of young guys in thrash wanting to do death metal. So I love it. I've listened to the album so many times, I know it inside and out. But Scream Bloody Gore, that is one of those records. That's the first death album I ever heard. I got that around when it came out. Blew me away. It's still, whenever I listen to death, I listen to Scream Bloody Gore. I just do. It's evil. I love it when he was Evil Chuck. When he was Evil Chuck, his vocals were just scathing. I mean, he was always a great vocalist, but those screams and the riffs on here are just really special. So, man, I gotta go with Death, Scream Bloody Gore. I just got to. It's one of the first death metal records. I wish it could have been a different band because I would have loved to seen Cross the Sticks move ahead, but Death for me.
All right, 1 for Death, and Patrick gets the second vote.
Good God.
Unless he wants to give it to the chat.
No, I'll go ahead and
okay.
I'll go ahead and make my choice here. Scream Bloody Gore is my second favorite death album.
What's your first?
My first is actually the Sound of Perseverance.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's my favorite. My favorite. So I play Zombie Ritual for people who are trying to get into death metal because it has that cool bass line, right? It has this build up, and then it's always the vocals that lose people who are into death metal. But yeah, I love Zombie Ritual, love Scream Bloody Gore, love Evil Dead. But I have to be honest here, right? I'm going to listen now in my life, Cross the Sticks, more than Scream Bloody Gore.
Yeah, that's probably
even though
true.
it is my second favorite Death album. It just goes back to like the guitar work on it. It's angry, it's evil sounding. So I'm gonna choose Cross the Sticks here.
All right.
Okay.
Alan might save Cross the Sticks here. That's good. Maybe.
Now, I decided early I was going to let the chat have this one because it was a tough compare. It's very close in the chat. It is very close. But yes, I've counted 17 votes, and the final is 10 for Death and 7 for Sinister. So the chat votes Scream Bloody Gore, but not by much. And yeah, this one, Patrick makes a great point. You know, we've heard Scream Bloody Gore so much that Cross the Sticks is more appealing in a way. But at the same time, yeah, Scream Bloody Gore is about as, foundational as you get in death metal. But yeah, and again, yes, a very, very, strong pairing for a first round. That's what happens when you randomize things. So Scream Bloody Gore will move on. Cross the Sticks will, I guess, stay on that side of the sticks.
Yep. And the next one, it was inevitable. We had our first ever where the same band is against itself. So we've got Graves You Will Never See up against Graves Into the Grave. So you got album 2 against album 1.
So chat, you cannot vote for Grave because that won't work. And I vote first. I'm giving this to the chat because I'm not a Grave guy. So chat, you get to pick between the first 2 Grave albums, and that will be that will replace my vote. See, we've got Into the Grave as 1, Into the Grave 2. You Won't Ever See has 1 now. Album 1, so 3 to 2 for 4 to 2. Into the Grave is ahead. 5 to 2 with Metal Overkill's vote for Into the Grave. You'll Never See gets 2 more votes.
Kind of close.
Yeah. It's 6 to 4 right now. Zach, that doesn't help.
I would have voted Solus too. I love Solus. It's a great record.
6 to 2.
They did groove death metal well too, in their own way. Hating Life. Come on, James. You're being one of those guys.
Yeah. I'm writing in a third-party candidate. Go ahead. Throw away your vote. Into the Grave. All right. Unless there's a last-minute push, Into the Grave has got this by a few. But there was definitely support for both. It looks like the chat's vote is going to be Into the Grave. So that's vote number 1, Into the Grave. Then, Marty, you get the second vote on this.
I'm fine with Into the Grave. I mean, both records are really good. I think Into the Grave is a little bit thicker and beefier sound-wise. The songs are a little bit more... I mean, both albums are pretty simplistic, but the first one just is simplistic in all the right ways. It's just they really focused on the heaviness and the brutality. And for a Swedish death metal band, that it works perfectly. So yeah, Into the Grave. But Solus is my favorite of the first 3 Grave albums for sure.
All right. Patrick, what was your choice here?
Yeah, I don't have much to say about these 2 albums actually. I like Into the Grave more, so that's my choice.
All right. Into the Grave, 3-0.
Into the second round.
Yes.
Either way, Grave still wins.
And loses.
Oh, another easy one. Okay. Autopsies, Mental Funeral. The second album up against the second album by Entombed called Clandestine.
Marty, you're first here.
Okay, well, I have gone on record and been lambasted many times for saying that Clandestine is a riff salad mess of an album. I don't like the production, and I don't like Nikki Anderson's vocals on it. So, Mental Funeral, I love Severed Survival's probably my favorite Autopsy record, but Mental Funeral's a close second. They've got more twisted and meaner sounding on the record, where Severed is more of a stoner rock / death metal album. I love how they mixed in like this stoner element that may be tough to hear, but you could tell they were smoking a ton of pot during this recording session. But Mental Funeral crushes Clandestine for me. So,
all right. Patrick, do you agree or disagree?
So, yeah, I like Mental Funeral a lot. I like the drums more on this one than on Severed Survival. Clandestine, I don't hate it. It might be a good example of it's not quite Death and Roll yet, but it might be an example of a sort of like a bridge album that is kind of enjoyable, but I hardly ever listen to it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Mental Funeral as well.
Okay. I would also go Mental pretty easily on this one. So
all right.
Autopsy.
Not today, Clandestine. Not today. Keep trying. All right. Next up, we've got Atrocities, Hallucinations up against Cancer's Death Shall Rise. All right. That would be Patrick's first pick.
So yeah, this Cancer album is definitely one of the most weaker albums out of all, this entire list. I like Hallucinations. That was recorded in Tampa, right? At Morrisound.
Yes, it was.
Even though they're a German band, right?
Yep.
They kind of sound Finnish to me as well. So they kind of just have a good, nasty sounding mix of all of early death metal. One of my favorite modern bands is Undergang, and for some reason I think that I hear Undergang in Atrocity. I do like Cancer, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Atrocity's first album here.
All right, Alan.
All right, yeah. The Atrocity album is probably the better album. However, I mentioned earlier that I've revisited some of the Cancer stuff, and it's clicked a little better with me. And this album in particular, I think they actually, kind of got it right on Death Shall Rise. Having James Murphy help out, of course, didn't hurt matters any. I like the Atrocity album a lot. It's a little bit of a hard one to listen to just because it's such a horrible, sad story with the concept going on in the background. It's kind of like, oh, geez, could this be just any more of a downer? So I'm actually going to pick Cancer, Death Shall Rise here. I admit the Atrocity album is better from technical standpoints, but I'm still going to pick the Cancer one. This one has grown on me upon revisiting it. So we got one vote for Atrocity Hallucinations, one for Cancer, Death Shall Rise, and Marty has to be the tiebreaker.
I'm sorry. Tony found out that I did not advance into the grave. So thank you, Tony, for seeing that.
Yeah, thanks for catching that.
And you picked Cancer?
I'm voting for Cancer, admitting that Atrocity is probably better, but the Cancer album has grown on me, so I'm going to let it play dark horse here for a minute until Marty crushes its dreams with probably picking Atrocity.
Oh, yeah. The Atrocity is a good album, kind of crazy, technical death. I always enjoyed the crap out of it, but I really liked how they got better and less busy on Longing for Death or Toad, whatever, the German word, I don't remember it. But Longing for Death is my favorite. But in this case, again, I've already stated Cancer, they just strike me as very boring. Yeah, so Hallucinations for me. Patrick?
Marty, there was a mistake in the bracket.
Shit.
Indecent and Obscene lost.
Oh, it did. Okay, let me change that.
Marty trying to stuff the ballot box for Dismember.
Thank you. I'm trying to bounce around here, and I'm struggling. Here
we go. And this is for folks watching or listening. This is our first time using this bracket website, trying it out. So yeah, there's a lot of little things to keep an eye on.
And shout out to Logan, the Metal and Beer Snob, for staying up past his bedtime on Wednesday night after our album club to help me find this free, because everyone I was finding for 64 teams, you had to pay a bunch of money to use the service. So there was some that looked killer, but we weren't about to pay for something we may or may not do again. So the free one's working just fine. It's just the operator is the problem.
It's all good. All right, we still got a few more to do here in the first round. So what's next, Marty?
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't advance Metal Funeral either. Holy shit. Hold on. Oh my God. What the hell? Hallucinations moved ahead. Did you pick?
Yes.
Okay.
Hallucinations moved ahead.
It was 2-1 on that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're all caught up, everybody. Thanks for keeping me honest here. Next up, we have got Edge of Sanity's debut, Nothing But Death Remains, up against Suffocation's Effigy of the Forgotten, the much loved and celebrated Effigy of the Forgotten. Whose turn is it for now? Is it me?
Mm-hmm. Oh, Marty, here's maybe one more to check. Yes, no, I think Patrick goes first on this one.
Okay. Did Styx win or Scream Bloody Gore? I forgot actually.
Scream Bloody Gore won. It was close. Scream Bloody Gore.
Let me go back.
It went to the chat. It went to the chat, and Scream Bloody Gore won 10-7 in the chat.
What is happening? I thought I did this, so it's 3-1 or 2-1.
Right.
What is happening? All right, are we good here? Let me look. Is everything false? Everything else is done. Okay. Thank you, everybody, once again. Man, fired. You're fired, Marty Worm. Okay.
Yeah, so 2 debut albums. There are better Edge of Sanity albums. There's not too many better Suffocation albums. I'm going to go with Effigy of the Forgotten.
Alan.
Let's see. I was going to give this one to the chat because I'm pretty even on these two, and the chat is Suffocation in a Landslide.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love me some Edge of Sanity, but this really is Nothing But Death Remains is got a lot of charm, but they got way better on the follow-up album. So, yep, for me, it's Effigy, even though I'm not the biggest LG of the Forgotten fan. So I am hitting the 3, I'm hitting the enter, and it moves to the next team. And next up is, okay, Asphyx, Last One on Earth, up against Carcass's Reek of Putrefaction. That would be me up next.
Sure, go for it.
Reek of Putrefaction is a mess. It is, the way it sounds, the way it's executed is kind of perfect for the mission statement, what they're doing. But the songs are, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell if it's still great songs just with a shitty production. I've always had a really hard time discerning what's happening on the record. I love the charm of it. I really like the idea of it. It kept me very interested in the band and waiting to hear what they did next, which they rose to the challenge and conquered. Last One on Earth, I think is a really good Asphyx album, but it's certainly not their best. But I'm still at this point going to side with Asphyx. I'm going to Last One on Earth on here. Sorry, Simon.
All right, Patrick, you get vote number 2.
Yeah, I feel very similarly to Marty here. Respect Reek of Putrefaction. I mean,
oh yeah,
it is amazing that came out in 1988.
It's crazy. Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, it's like the most extreme punk. I mean, you put Napalm. Bill was also in Napalm Death, but
right.
It's like punk so extreme you almost can't listen to it.
Right.
It's unlistenable. Yep. Anyway, go ahead and cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I agree, and so therefore I don't listen to it. I do like Last One on Earth a lot, so let's choose Last One on Earth.
Okay, Alan.
Yeah, I would agree with the sentiment here. Reek's important. I get it. But it's not the album for me. And this isn't the best Asphyx album, but I will Asphyx. I dig a lot of their stuff. So pretty easy. Chat was pretty heavily weighted towards Asphyx too.
All right. Well, next up, pretty good mix up here. We've got Immolation's debut, Dawn of Possession, up against Deicide's second album, Legion.
Is you, Alan?
Yes, I believe it is on this one. The Dawn of Possession Legion matchup. Yeah, I thought this was an interesting pairing too, because most folks put Legion a step below the Deicide debut, and folks like Dawn of Possession a lot, but I don't know really where it falls for most folks in terms of discography. Long story short, I'm going to pick Legion here. I do like Dawn of Possession a lot, but I think I like Legion a little bit more than the average person. And again, I've just recently kind of rediscovered Deicide. I kind of just didn't get into them a lot early on, but revisiting them was like, oh no, this is fine, not a problem. I'll pick Legion and hand it off to Marty for vote number 2.
If this would have been the self-titled Deicide, it might have been a bit different of a end result for me. But Dawn of Possession is kind of like Onward to Golgotha. It's just really well done, very sinister death metal of the old school, where riffs are very important and they make great songs. We're great, memorable songs, even though the riffs are dark and evil. Ross's voice is super sick and dark on this. Legion sounds, after the self-titled, sounds a bit rushed to me. I always liked it. I listened to the shit out of it when it came out, but production was weird. I don't know. The first 2 Deicides are really all I need of that band. I know Once Upon the Cross and Serpents of the Light are both loved, but the debut is their best, and Dawn of Possession completely destroys Legion as far as I'm concerned. So yeah.
Okay, so Patrick, break the tie, please, sir.
Okay, so Deicide is a band that I don't listen to very much, and when I do, I go to their debut album.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Immolation is one of my favorite death metal bands. I like every Immolation album. A lot of people say that like Bob's guitar sound wasn't exactly here yet on this album, but you can hear it. You can hear that he's doing these weird, tags at the end of these riffs.
Yep.
So I think it has a charming, thrash, a bit thrashy still as well.
Yep.
Feel to it. Dawn of Possession. Love that album. I'm gonna choose Dawn of Possession.
All right.
Okay. No, I get that, and yeah, I cannot be upset about this one.
2-1. We advance them. Okay. Next we have Autopsy's Severed Survival, their debut album, up against Breeding the Spawn by Suffocation, their second album. And Breeding the Spawn is much slammed upon for the production.
Right.
Okay. Is it Alan's turn this time?
No, I started the last one, so Marty, it's your turn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Severed Survival. I will always love that record. It's unique as hell. The funny thing is, we're talking about all the first 2 releases by all these classic bands, and all these bands sound different from each other. And you cannot say if you were to make this list of modern OSDM bands, it'd be a lot harder, I think, to find identity. You find killer sounds and awesome music and great albums, but there's such an identity found on each of these records between bands. It's crazy. But for me, Autopsy kind of took the cake. They were super special, super sick, demented, great riffs. And of course, on Severed Survival, you've got the amazing bass work of Steve DiGiorgio, which I always loved how that his bass, Rickenbacker bass tone, cut through the mix on here. And Breeding the Spawn, it's good musically, but it sounds like complete poop. It's just a rounded off, non-threatening death metal sound. Not a good production. So yeah, I prefer when you put these 2, you got the sicker, darker death metal against just the more brutal. I'm always going to go with the darker. So Autopsy for me.
All right, Patrick, you get vote number 2.
Yeah, so I am in my listening sort of journey where the production of Breeding the Spawn doesn't bother me. Severed Survival though almost invented a genre.
Yep.
And there's not too many albums that are Death Doom now that still have like classic sounding shreddy solos, and that's what they have that's what Autopsy brings into this album. That's still unique. It's a fun listen. It's catchy, memorable riffs.
Yep.
Most of those songs in Breeding the Spawn have been re-recorded if you don't like the production on that album, so that is cool. Yeah, this is an easy pick for me, so I'm going to choose Autopsy.
All right.
Okay, so it's already decided. Ryan, maybe we can find a bot that'll help you out with that. I would go with Severed Survival also. I like that album a lot. So, and I've got nothing against Suffocation, but it's not going to beat Severed Survival. So Autopsy will advance here.
All right. Next up, we've got Morbid Angel's classic debut, Altars of Madness. Well, I guess Abominations would be, of course, that was released later. Anyway,
that doesn't count.
Altars of Madness against Incantation's Mortal Throne of Nazarene.
Another kind of heavyweight matchup here early.
This is a crazy matchup.
Yeah.
Yes. Who is first?
Patrick. You are.
Patrick, I believe you are.
Okay, so Mortal Throne of Nazarene is my favorite incantation album. Altars of Madness is, 1A, 1B in terms of Morbid Angel albums. If I were to make like a top 10 death metal albums, both of these might be on that list. So this is really, really tough for me. I'm going to go with Mortal Throne of Nazarene. It is one of my favorite sounding albums on this list. Yeah, I love it. It's evil. It's murky. It's dark. The vocals are nuts. Like you can barely hear them basically. Yeah, like again, for me, replay value is really high for both of these albums, but almost, and it's not Morbid Angel's fault, but like a lot of bands sound like Morbid Angel. A lot of bands, as we said, do sound like Incantation, but to nail
and Suffocation,
right? No, true. But to nail this sound, I haven't heard an album that nails what Mortal Throne of Nazarene did for me. Dark atmospheric death metal with doom elements. Even some war metal comes in, some death grind. Yeah, I'm gonna choose Mortal Throne of Nazarene here.
Okay.
All right, Alan.
For me on this one, yeah, Patrick makes great points. I still have to pick Altars. Both albums, Patrick's right. Both albums, would probably make like a lot of top 10 or top 20 death metal albums of all time. So it's a big comparison here. But just in terms of, I go back to Altars more than I go back to Mortal Throne of Nazarene, and it's not a knock against Mortal Throne of Nazarene. It's an excellent album. But I in a head-to-head, I will choose Altars, and we'll put Marty on the spot to choose the winner.
I mean, Mortal Throne is great. It's Onward to Golgotha Part 2, but Altars of Madness, there's something super special about this record. The innovative riffs, the counterbalance between Richard and Trey, the way they would, play fifths over a melody line and make it just sound really super thick and sinister. Love it. The songs are so catchy, and of course David Vincent, his vocals in death metal early on are unparalleled. He's just had such a clear way of enunciating and yet sounding sick and just very stately, and it's a perfect record, really. The sound is great. The songs are great. I got to go with Altars, 100%. So sorry, Patrick. Although Mortal Throne is killer.
I expected that. No, I get it.
All right, so that advances, and next up we've got Unleashed Where No Life Dwells against Hypocrisy's Obsculum Obscenum.
All right, I think I start this one. Do I not?
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry, just pulling it up over here, wherever it is. Anyway, for Unleashed versus the Hypocrisy, I will go for the Hypocrisy here. I have really come to love those first two Hypocrisy albums with Mammy on the vocals. Just a really good, evil, creepy sound. Hypocrisy, of course, became famous for stuff they did later, which I like too. This is one of those cases where the band changed directions, and I still liked what they did. But yeah, I dig the early ones. Unleashed is fine. Unleashed is a band I just don't find myself going back to all that often. So my vote here is for Hypocrisy.
All right. I'm next, I'm assuming?
Yes, you get vote number 2.
It's kind of a tough one because we got two Swedish bands. I think the musicality of Hypocrisy is probably a bit more advanced, a little more intricate and interesting, but there's just an old classic simplistic catchiness to Unleashed. Their first two albums are great. They started losing me around Across the Open Sea. As soon as Johnny started changing his voice to more of a hardcore shouting style, they didn't really get me back until Hammer Battalion. But man, of the first two, I'm gonna have to go with Hypocrisy on here. I love the debut Unleashed record, but that Obsculum Obscenum is was it Matt? I can't remember the guy's Matty or whatever the hell his name was.
Mm-hmm.
The singer. He went on to be
Meme.
He went on to be in Dark Funeral. But yeah, he's just super great on here. Yep, Hypocrisy for me. What'd you think, Patrick?
I was going to give my vote to the chat, but it doesn't really matter for this round since you guys both chose Hypocrisy. I listened to Unleashed more, so I'm going to go with Where No Life Dwells.
Okay. 1, 2.
Yep. No, and it is a good Unleashed album. It's not an. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
It's not a knock against Unleashed at all. But yeah, the Hypocrisy is just. I go back to that one a lot here in the past year or two.
All right. Next up, I think we're getting down towards the end of the first round here.
Yep. There's a few more we got to do.
We've got the debut by Malevolent Creation, my favorite Malevolent Creation album, The 10 Commandments, against Necroticism by Carcass. Oh, man.
Malevolent Creation's running into some buzzsaws here.
Yeah. Who is up on this?
Patrick is
I'm bad at keeping track. All right. Yeah, so this Carcass album was also my second wild card pick. It's not the first album, not the second album, but it had to be here. It's from 1991. It's one of the best death metal albums of all time.
Yep.
It's my favorite Carcass album. I actually just got it on vinyl. I just couldn't find it for some reason.
Oh, nice.
I found it, so got it on vinyl now. Yeah, one of my entryways actually into death metal in like 2005 was Arch Enemy, who now I can't listen to at all. It's unlistenable. So, but it is cool that I still have Michael Amott, because I knew there was something there in the riff style, right? So
yeah,
and you get that in Carcass. So yeah, this is easy Necroticism.
Poor Simon has sweated away like 15 pounds tonight, and we haven't even gotten to the second round. Hang in there, Simon. Necroticism, easy. Enough said.
Yeah, when we did our favorite albums of all time, was it or top 5 albums of all time? Wasn't this my number 5?
It was in your top 5, I believe. Yeah.
It's perfection. I have a hard time deciding between Necroticism and Symphonies, and it's hard because they're both so good. Necroticism to me is the last great Carcass record. I know that's, Surgical Steel's great. Heartwork is a great record. It just is a little too slick, but no, Necroticism. So that's a blowout, right? Yep.
That's a blowout. Yep.
Yeah.
3-0. All right. Next up, we've got Edge of Sanity's Unorthodox up against Cryptopsy's None So Vile, the Lord Worm on vocals.
Mm-hmm. I believe I'm starting this one, and I'm giving it to the chat. Unorthodox versus None So Vile. You guys have 1 minute to go for it.
You can do it, chat. Make the right choice.
We got an Edge of Sanity vote, None So Vile vote. So Sick Nick ties it at 1.
What the hell? This bot is insane, man.
Yeah. None So Vile. None So Vile. And Orthodox is behind 2-4. Cryptopsy moves ahead 2-5. Cryptopsy. Okay, Cryptopsy's starting to run away with this one. I'm down at Skinwalker Wendigo's vote. None So Vile from Noah. All right, yeah. Okay, I think we can call this one pretty, Colto, also None So Vile. So None So Vile gets the first vote here. Thank you, chat. Want to make sure you guys get to participate too, so happy to give that one to y'all. Marty, you get the second vote.
Chat failed. They failed in this mission. It's a failure.
The stress is getting to Marty, and he's getting surly here.
I mean, None So Vile is great. Don't get me wrong, but Edge of Sanity's Unorthodox, man, that album is so good. It's classic Swedish death metal, really great songs. Dan Sueno, great singing voice, great death metal voice, and there's just so much character. Out of all the Swedish death metal bands, you rarely hear people championing on the internet Edge of Sanity. I know there's been a lot of reissues happening. They're a big band, but still, it just seems like that band should have got more love, especially as they went on. Crimson's great. Spectral Sorrows is fantastic. Unorthodox, I'm picking that all day. That to me had way more playability. None So Vile had an amazing singer, and it was in a brutal level of death metal that I struggled with. I wasn't always in the mood for it, but I was always in the mood for the melody, the heaviness, the Swedish death metal sound. So, yeah, for me, it's Edge of Sanity all the way.
All right, and that means Patrick is going to break this tie.
Okay, so Edge of Sanity probably is my favorite melodic death metal band. I consider them a melodic death metal band. I think they're considered progressive.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Sure.
On the archives, but yeah, to me they're a mellow death band. My favorite Edge of Sanity album is actually Purgatory Afterglow. It was the first one I heard, and that does it quite often.
Yep.
Cryptopsy has that suffocation issue where a lot of their spawns I don't like, but it's hard to deny the influence, the power, the craziness of this of None So Vile. The drumming sounds like he's like doing a solo, like a drum solo the whole time.
Yeah.
Weird funky grooves, jazzy fills. Yeah, None So Vile is my choice.
All right.
And really, I mean, when it comes down to Cryptopsy, as far as that style, I always preferred the early Cataclysm with Sylvain singing. Kind of a similar type of style, but they were just more grindcore and crazy with Sylvain's voice. But let me make this happen here before I forget and we move on and it's a mess. Unorthodox 2-1.
Nope. None So Vile 2-1.
Oh man.
Sorry, Mike.
I forgot the chat.
No, the chat was heavy on Cryptopsy.
You're trying to sneak it in.
Patrick's got their back.
Damn it. Okay, next up, we've got Atrocities Totenschut, which was Longing for Death in the U.S., against Morbid Angel's Covenant. This was one of those Cinderella editions to
Yes,
our
I
list.
added Covenant to the mix.
Right.
Yep. So Morbid Angel is one of the only bands that got 3 albums in. Yep. And Marty, I think you get first say on this one.
I mean, Longing for Death is a great record. It's Atrocity's best. But the Covenant record, it's kind of there's no competition here really for me. Morbid Angel album, it's their 3rd album. It seemed a little bit more of a savage evolution from Blessed Are the Sick. Plus you take away all of those in between interludes, and it just seemed like a more focused album. Covenant did to me. Covenant is my
all
vote.
Right, Patrick.
I've never heard that Atrocity album for some reason.
It's a good record. Check it out. You'll like it.
Right. So I'm going to the chat.
All right. I've been keeping on the chat. The chat Covenant is ahead 6-3.
I don't know if we should consider the chat in this anymore. They've proven to be unreliable.
Sunday's vote makes it 7-3 for Morbid Angel. Atrocity fans, now's your chance to speak up. Another Covenant vote.
Killing for Company. O'Kellen slipped in an Atrocity.
Atrocity. 7-4.
Sorry, Sick Nick. You let me down. You let me down with Unorthodox.
Eighth vote for Covenant, thanks to Christoph. Jason's got Covenant. Okay, yeah, Covenant's got this. John's got Morbid Angel. So, okay. Covenant's got this one locked up.
All right. 0-3. Next up, we've got Sepultura's Morbid Visions up against Dismembers Like an Ever-Flowing Stream.
Let's see. Am I first on this one?
I think
maybe.
So.
No, I'm going to claim I'm first on this one, and I want to let the chat choose because I hold these 2 albums kind of equal. So Morbid Visions versus Like an Ever-Flowing Stream. Chat, go for it. Got 1 for Dismember. Jason gets the first vote in.
Yeah, this should be a blowout, I would think.
Zach with Dismember. Petrix 3 for Dismember. Metal Overkill 4th for Dismember. Nick Dismember. Nick votes for Sepultura. Skinwalker for Sepultura. John for Sepultura. Okay, so it's now 5-3, 6-3. Metal Kevin makes it 7-3. David has Dismember 8-3. Okay. Christoph has Dismember 93. So yeah, okay. Yeah, there was a quick surge of Sepultura trying to catch up there, but now they're getting left in the dust. So Like an Ever Throwing Stream and is getting vote number 1. And Marty gets vote number 2. I'm pretty sure we know how this is going to play out.
Oh yeah, I mean Sepultura, the early Sepultura stuff is, you know, the South American intensity has got so much charm and a lot of passion and spirit in that album and that early stuff. But man, when it comes to Like an Ever Flowing Stream, that's an album that could go toe to toe with Left Hand Path. The band's got a lot of comparisons back in the day, even though you listen to them, there's a difference. I think sound alone, just remember, is more of the chainsaw. They really leaned into the chainsaw essence of the HM2 pedal, where Left Hand Path was a little more streamlined. Like an Ever Flowing Stream is an endless favorite for me. So Dismember all the way. I could go on and on. So I'm just gonna stop it there. Patrick.
Yeah, I think Human Falafel in the chat was right. I don't consider Morbid Visions a death metal album, you know, to begin with. Like Colin said, this is the Dismember album. Amazing track order. It flows.
Yeah.
The way that Rain and Blood flows, like it's a perfectly composed.
But does it flow like a ever flowing stream?
I didn't even catch that. Nice, that's good, man.
Oh, I thought you were doing it deliberately.
No,
Like I see what you're doing, but you don't see what you're doing.
Is there a better opening track than Override the Overture? What a great song.
Yeah, and one of my favorite modern bands, Ripped to Shreds. Like they do the HM2 stuff well, and I just kind of like pointing that out. Like an Ever Flowing Stream, easy choice for me.
All right, so we've got 3 votes for Dismember, 0 for Sepultura. All right.
Okay, only 2 left to go in the first round.
We've got Bolt Thrower's second album, Realms of Chaos, another one you can watch in the Heavy Metallurgy Album Club. We went on for a long time on that one. And up against Dark Throne's debut and only death metal album, Soulside Journey.
Marty, you've got this one first.
The Dark Throne is one of my favorite Dark Throne records, and easily it's up there as favorite death metal record as well. When that album came out, man, I was blown away by it. I was another broken heart when they moved away from that style and went to black metal. But Soulside Journey is a special record. It was recorded at Studio Sunlight, like so many albums were during this era, but it still come out of the mix sounding like its own entity, I think. They were just really great, dark lyrics, equally dark music for a death metal band. There's just an evil essence to it. So yeah, I'm Team Soulside all day.
All right. Patrick gets the second vote.
Yep, Soulside Journey for me. I'm actually not a fan of Bolt Thrower.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of another band that it doesn't click with me. I can appreciate the melodic riffs, but Soulside Journey, weird. I like weird sounding stuff, and it's weird.
Yeah.
It is my favorite Dark Throne album, which I know is kind of unfair to choose their only death metal album, but it is what it is.
It's mine too. Yeah.
Right.
Great drumming. Fenris was a sick drummer. Very busy and technical. Good drummer.
All right. That wraps it up. For the record, I would have voted Bolt Thrower. I have never gotten Soulside Journey to click with me at all. It's not my favorite Bolt Thrower album, but it is a good Bolt Thrower album. And I'll take good Bolt Thrower over amateurish sounding Dark Throne any day.
It's got World Eater. What a great song.
Yeah, it's. I'll revisit Soulside sometime. Maybe it'll click one day, but I just haven't figured out how to appreciate that album yet. All right, now we got one matchup left for round 1.
Yep. Okay, we've got
the good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. The debut Deicide album, self-titled, up against the second Immolation album, Hereinafter.
Is this me?
Yep, Patrick, you get to read this one.
This is the only Deicide record that I like. So catchy. It did take me a bit to get into Glenn Benton's vocals as well, but it's when they clicked, it clicked on this album in particular. Hereinafter is one of my favorite Immolation albums.
It's great. Yeah.
if I want to be critical here though of Immolation, they have a lot of albums. They're kind of one note. They all sound very similar, which is why they're one of my favorite albums or bands, because they're just super consistent. Love Bob's guitar playing. So I'm gonna have to choose Here and After because it's Immolation. I'm always gonna choose Immolation over Deicide.
Okay.
Alan.
Yeah, kind of a tough one here, but I like the Here and After album quite a bit. That one, is one of the. It wasn't the first Immolation album that I connected with, but it was a pretty early one for me. Again, the Deicide self-title has grown on me a lot, but I kind of had the same problem with Deicide for a long time that Patrick did. Glenn's vocals just did not suit me back in the day, so kind of bypassed the band. But yeah, Here and After is a high-ranking Immolation album, so I'm also going with Here and After, and that will seal the deal. But Marty, what was your vote going to be?
It's a tough call. They're both great records. I really like the manic nature of the Deicide with Glenn's offsetting vocal styles. It just gave it a manic edge. It just made it seem crazy, and
which I get now, and it works better for me now than it used to.
Yeah, and Here and After is just a really good, a little bit more complex for Immolation, dark and evil record. Really great. I love it, but I have to go. The replayability for me lands on the self-titled Deicide. So.
Okay.
1 to Deicide, 2 to Immolation, and that is
completes
our first
round 1.
Second time we don't have to discuss as much because we've already discussed these albums, so I would anticipate this to go a bit quicker.
Yep. So, and there's only half as many matchups to go through. So what is our first matchup in round 2 here?
We've got The Key against Blessed Are the Sick.
All right, and Marty, I believe it's your turn to start, or no, it's my turn to start, isn't it?
Yep.
So The Key versus Blessed Are the Sick. Like both albums, cool albums, but as I said earlier, Blessed Are the Sick ranks really high for me. I will definitely take Blessed Are the Sick over The Key.
Next, I guess.
You get the second vote. Mm-hmm.
I like Mike Browning's vocalizations, but I don't like the way he uses them, places the words. So yeah, Blessed Are the Sick for me. I think it's a better album.
Okay. And Patrick, what was your vote for the roster?
So for me, it's like I actually don't love the vocals on either album, so I'm just like kind of thinking about the replay value in terms of the songs, the concepts. I'm gonna go with The Key.
Okay.
Yep. It is a cool album. I like it a lot.
All right. Next up, we've got Carcass, Symphonies of Sickness against Hypocrisy's Penetralia. Sorry, Hypocrisy.
That's a tough order. Yeah.
Is that for me? I'm up
That
first?
is, you take the lead on this one, yes.
Yeah, Symphonies all day. It's just a more sophisticated, sick, well-executed album. Penetralia is really great. It's just young. You could tell a young Peter wrote this stuff all by himself. I'm going Symphonies.
Patrick?
Yeah, I am going with Carcass as well.
Yeah, and I would too on this pairing, even though I like the Penetralia album a lot. Yeah, again, Symphonies, I didn't vote for it in round 1, but it is, it's legendary for a reason, and I would vote for it here.
Okay, next up, we've got Leprosy against Death's Leprosy up against Suffocation's Pierce from Within.
Okay.
This is my pick, right?
I believe so, yep.
Okay. Pierce from Within, top 5, top 3 death metal album for me. Extreme, immense replay value for me. I don't listen to Leprosy that much. I always try. I put it back on, and I don't. It's very mid-paced. I think every other death album is better than Leprosy. Pierce from Within, it's my choice.
Okay.
I fixed it, Simon. I forgot to enter in the 2 for Blessed, so that's been fixed. Sorry.
All right, Simon, keeping Marty honest here.
What did you pick, Patrick? I'm sorry. Pierce from Within.
Pierce from Within.
Yeah.
Patrick picked Pierced, which is a little hard to say.
And a pickled pepper.
I get the second vote, and I'm going to vote for Leprosy here. Again, I've got nothing against Suffocation. They're just not a band I go to very much. Leprosy is not my favorite death metal, my favorite death album either, but he's still got to pull the plug on it sometimes. So, all right, Marty, you get to decide on this one unless you want to let the chat have a say in matters, Pierced or Leprosy.
I think, though I probably listen to Leprosy more, I think Pierce from Within is a more mature and advanced album. Again, more technical, more brutal. I'm going with Pierce from Within, surprisingly.
All right. So Leprosy is now out.
Don't worry, Death. I got you on the back end. Okay, next we've got Imperial Doom by Monstrosity up against The Slumber of Sullen Eyes by Demigod. Another Finnish band.
Demigod. That's an honest mistake. No one's going to call you on that. Slumber versus Imperial Doom. Okay. And Marty, you take the lead here.
Oh, man, I got to go with Demigod here. It's just I'm always going to side on the European/Finnish sound over the U.S. I know that's probably a mean thing to say, but there's just an evilness there that isn't. Although Imperial Doom rules, I love the record. I really, really, really am surprised how it's a bummer that Demigod didn't do more. They should have followed that album up a lot quicker. Anyway, Demigod for me.
Yeah, this is a tough matchup.
It is.
Exactly what you want in death metal albums. Heavy, mean sounding. I'll go with Imperial Doom. I listen to it more.
Yeah, all right. Alan, you're the tiebreaker here.
I am. No, I'm not. The chat's going to be the tiebreaker here. I want to let them have a say on this one because, both albums are cool. So let's start. I got to back up a little bit and start counting some votes for this one. We've got. Let's see, where are we at here? Imperial Doom from Zachary, Demigod from Flawful, Demigod. Slumber, Demigod. So 4. Imperial from Pretux makes it 2-4. 3-4. 3-5. 3-6. Demigod is ahead. 3-6. 4-6 for Nick's vote. 7 from Devin. Monstrosity's hanging in there. 5-7. Now 5-8 with Jason. 6-8. Wow, it's pretty split here. 6-9, 6-10, 7-10, 7-11, 7-12, 7-13, 8-13. Okay.
I fixed it, Kellen. I forgot to hit enter when I put in the 2. So
okay. Yeah.
Pierce from Within won that bracket. Sorry. Thanks for keeping me honest, people.
All right. Yeah. It was a back and forth battle there, but the chat has decided on Demigod there. So
okay.
Yeah. And again, I both albums are good. I'd rank them pretty similar. So the chat gets to vote, and the chat has voted for Demigod, and Marty voted for Demigod. So
yep.
And
Demigod
Patrick
goes
voted
for
Imperial Doom. That was a very close one across the board.
Which leads us to Gorefest False against Bolt Throwers and Battle There Is No Law.
And I start this one, I think.
Nick is flipping tables at his house. Sorry, Nick.
Brackets will do that to you every time. Bolt Thrower all day. Love this Bolt Thrower album. Pretty unique for them compared to some of their later albums. And it's one I revisit regularly and have for ages. So, yeah, Bolt Thrower strikes first in Battle There Is No Law. Marty gets the second vote here.
I don't know why. I'm doing this. It's not, I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, Simon. I fixed it. Keep an eye on it because it's doing weird shit. Yeah. It could be me, but.
Maybe, do you have to hit return after each thing? Maybe
did, but I don't know.
Okay, don't know.
I must have fucked up. Anyway, you picked Battle There Is No Law?
I picked, first vote for Bolt Thrower in Battle There Is No Law. So it's got a 1-0 lead over Gorefest's False at the moment, but you get vote number 2.
False is a much catchier accessible death metal record. Very influential in my own band. So yeah, I'm going with false.
All right, Patrick, you got to you got to settle the fight between mom and dad here.
So yeah, I don't listen to Bolt Thrower very often. This is my favorite Bolt Thrower album as well, actually. Though it just has like a nice charm to it. I like how it's messy and primitive and garage sounding.
Exactly. Yep.
For sure. As Marty said, like track 1 is called "The Glorious Dead," right? You are deeply influenced by this album. It's the guitar riffs. That it's the darkness. Yeah, I gotta go with Gorefest here.
Yay!
All right.
2-1.
Gorefest making a run into the Sweet 16 here.
Okay, next up, we've got Cause of Death by Obituary up against S-Fix the Rack.
Marty, you're first on this one.
As much as I do really enjoy the Obituary album, I worshipped the Rack when that came out. So yeah, I'm going with the Rack. Make that easy.
Okay. So as Fix strikes first and strikes quickly, Patrick gets vote number 2. Cause of Death versus the Rack is our matchup.
Yep, the Rack for me as well.
Okay, this didn't take too long. Yeah.
Where do you land, Alan?
I'm not sure where I was going to land on that one. Probably the Rack, but I was going to have to turn it over, and I might have let the chat decide because it's pretty close on those two. I definitely like Fix more than Obituary overall, but that's not the question here. The question is those two albums. But it's a moot point, so we can surge right along to our next second round matchup.
Incantations, Onward to Golgotha against Pestilence, Consuming Impulse.
Ooh.
That's kind of a tough one.
It is a bit tough one. Consuming versus Golgotha. Okay, who's got the lead on this one?
I did the last one, I believe. So
okay,
I was
going to say, it feels like it's Patrick's turn.
All right. So, yeah, I love all 4 of these, the first 4 Pestilence albums, but I can say the same for Incantation. I listened to Onwards to Golgotha more, so I'm going to go with Onwards to Golgotha.
All right. Alan.
All right. And I will go with Consuming Impulse. Both, very strong albums, but decisions have to be made. And I will go with Pestilence. I probably revisit Pestilence more than I do Incantation overall. Not the best tiebreaker, I'll admit. But Marty, you get the ultimate tiebreaker here then.
Breaks my heart to say goodbye to Consuming Impulse because it's a great record, but I think Golgotha gets bonus points for being one of the darkest death metal records ever. So, yep, that moves forward for sure. Kind of a sad one up here next, but we've got Entomb's Left Hand Path against Pestilence Malleus Maleficarum.
Oh,
yeah, I don't want to play anymore.
Pestilence is running into problems here. But technically, let's see. It's my turn first, isn't it?
Yep.
Dadgummit, Left Hand Path. Yeah, I really want to pick Pestilence. But yeah, we we'll have to be an adult about this and go with Left Hand Path. I like that Pestilence album a lot though. But you're going up against one of the big ones, so Left Hand Path.
Yeah, just for the outro to the album alone, the title track. Wow, just classic fade out on an amazing riff and an amazing guitar tone. Left Hand Path for me. Sorry, Patrick.
That's okay. Yeah, I would chase Pestilence. I listen to it more actually.
Okay.
It's the guitar work. I go back to it all the time.
All right, 2-1, Left Hand Path. Next up, we've got Death, Scream, Bloody Gore against Grave Into the Grave. I start this one off.
You start this one off, yes.
Yeah, it's not even. It's death. Scream Bloody Gore. It trumps. Into the Grave pretty easily.
Okay. Patrick, would you agree or disagree?
What's the matchup again right now? It is
Scream Bloody Gore against Into the Grave by Grave.
Oh yeah, for sure, Scream Bloody Gore.
Okay. Yeah, and I would definitely do the same there. So no contest. We've got that one done.
3-2 Okay. Next up, we've got Autopsy's Mental Funeral against Atrocity's Hallucinations. Kind of another easy one.
This one's Patrick's first on this one again.
Yeah, I listen to Mental Funeral a lot more, so I'm going to go with Autopsy here.
And I will also second that and go with Autopsy here.
Yep.
I like the Atrocity albums a lot, don't get me wrong, but not more than Mental Funeral.
All right, we've got Suffocation's Effigy of the Forgotten against Asphyx, Last One on Earth.
My first on this one?
I believe you're first on this one, Alan, yeah.
Asphyx fanboy. I will go with Last One on Earth. I don't expect it to get through, but we'll see. We'll see. They've got the first vote.
True.
Can they find a second, Marty? I don't know.
I think I like the Last One on Earth better than Effigy.
Oh, okay.
Effigy, it's great, but I prefer Pierce from Within, and I would rather have Pierced survive to the end than Effigy. So it's fixed for me.
Okay. Patrick, what was your call going to be on this one?
Definitely Effigy for me.
Okay. I thought that would. Yeah, I am surprised Last One on Earth makes it through there. But,
it probably should have not made it, but this is the way it goes.
Sometimes you get the matchup. Marty, what did Mental Funeral beat out a minute ago?
Hallucinations.
Hallucinations. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to keep tabs over here as well.
In case I make more mistakes. I'm trying to be more lazy. I'm not bouncing back and forth. And now we're going quicker. I'm just leaving the bracket up. So
No, it's all good. But no, I just wanted a long-term record in case we wanted to look back over it after the stream for any reason.
Okay.
That's all. So let's see. What do we got next?
We've got Dawn of Possession by Immolation up against Autopsy's Severed Survival. This is kind of a shitty one for me.
This one does. Yeah, that's a tougher one. I did the first one, so Marty, you're actually first on this one too.
God, both of these records are really great. Man, I think I prefer Severed Survival here. I know it's weird, but there's two great tastes that shouldn't be compared to each other, but yeah. Oh, well, hold on. Let me think about this a minute. I'm going Dawn of Possession. It's just a really well written. The riffs are so catchy. It's the true spirit of old death metal.
Upon review, the refs are reversing the call on the floor.
Yes, indeed.
The fans are throwing stuff on the court.
Dawn of Possession.
Or is that your final answer?
That's my final answer. Yep.
Okay, so Immolation gets the first vote after all. Patrick, you get the second vote.
Yeah, just for its sheer. This is tough. So I listened to Dawn of Possession more. I like what Autopsy did on Severed Survival. It's my favorite Autopsy album. Not my favorite Immolation album.
I'll choose. Decide if you don't want to.
I'll choose Autopsy.
Okay, so we got one vote.
There's no wrong answer here. No. Is the beauty of this. There's no wrong answer. They both rule.
Yeah.
We got one vote for each, and I am going to let the chat make the call here. They haven't gotten to do a second round one, I don't think. So Immolation, Dawn of Possession versus Autopsy, Severed Survival. I want to back up and start counting votes. We got 2 Immolations. Devin says, ouch, and understandably. Let's see. So the first 2 are for Immolation. We got a third for Immolation. Then we've got one for another for Immolation. Another for Immolation. Wow, they're off to a really fast start. Immolation, Autopsy. Here comes the Autopsy crew. 5 straight for Autopsy, 6 for Autopsy. Dawn of Possession, Autopsy. Wow, this one's very close. Dawn, Severed Survival is good, but not quite enough. Immolation. Boy, that's an Autopsy. Abstain for Wade. Let's see. Immolation just is. Immolation's got a little bit of a lead. There's another push for Immolation. Okay, it's back and forth, but Autopsy has not quite caught up. So it is going to be Immolation. The chat has spoken. And they say Dawn of Possession moves on, and we sever ties with Severed Survival here.
Oh, it's a bummer.
It is. I don't know if I agree with that, but I gave the power to the chat, and I will stand by that decision. And I will stand by their choice.
Yeah.
All right. Next up should be a blowout. We've got Altars of Madness up against Obsculum Obscenum.
Ooh. Sometimes Cinderella stories end.
Yeah.
Am I first on this one?
I believe so.
Altars. I'm not going to belabor it.
Yeah, I'm Altars as well. I'm not going to. What do you think, Patrick?
Make it 3. Altars all day.
Yeah. Okay. So that was Altars makes quick work of Obscurum, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Next up, we've got hopefully another easy one. We've got Carcass Necroticism up against Cryptopsy, None So Vile. I believe I'm first.
Yes, you are.
Necroticism. There's way much more sophistication in the riffs and songwriting than but you got Flo Mornier on drums, who's an amazing drummer, and Lord Worm, who's a completely vile vocalist, but worm-eating vocalist. But Necroticism, gotta go with them.
All right, Patrick, you want to seal the deal on this one, or you want to play spoiler?
No, I will. Yeah, I can't. It's Necroticism all day.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair indeed.
Where were you at on this one, Alan?
I would be on Necroticism. Yeah, my favorite Carcass record, and ranking high. One of the first really extreme death metal albums I got into back in high school.
All right.
Okay.
Next up, we've got Morbid Angel's Covenant up against Dismember, Like an Ever-Flowing Stream.
Oh, okay. Now this is interesting.
Who's this one? Is this me?
No, I believe this one's Patrick.
Patrick and Alan, take your time. I have to pee, or there's going to be problems. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, we'll slow down here for a minute, and timeout called. Do a TV timeout here, but Patrick, what's your thoughts on this matchup?
So, I don't listen to Covenant that much. I do listen to Dismember. This is the only Dismember that I listen to basically at all. I'm not a massive fan though of the Swedish sound if I'm going to compare it to the early American sound.
Okay.
I believe Covenant was one of the first breakthrough DM albums, first on a major label even.
I think it beat the Earache Columbia albums by just a little bit.
I'm just trying to buy time, basically, right?
Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah, it's Covenant's the, as far as I know, still the best-selling death metal album.
Right.
Of all
I knew
time.
it was one of the most sold. Yeah. As far as album experience, replay value, album flow, I am going to go with Dismember here. But it was tough. It is tough.
Mm-hmm. All right, so fair enough. We've got the first vote goes to Dismember, Like an Ever-Flowing Stream. For me on this one, my vote will be for Covenant. It's not my favorite not my favorite Morbid Angel album, but I do like it, and it has held up really well over time. And actually, I think I like it more now than I used to. At times in the past, it was one of those albums where I'd play it once and like it. And then the next time I'd play it, I'd be like, maybe it didn't click quite right. So it was a little uneven. but it has withstood the test of time. I dig it. So I'll vote Covenant, and Marty is back. We're ready to inbound the ball. So Marty, the score is 1-1. Patrick has voted for Like an Ever-Flowing Stream, and I have voted for Covenant, and that means it's on you, sir, to clear this mess up.
I love Covenant, no doubt, but just remember, Like an Ever-Flowing Stream moves on to the next, because it is a superior album, I think.
Okay. Covenant
it's different.
Is
it's different. They're good for different reasons, but man, oops, what happened? Why did it do this? Okay, the number thing is.
Covenant does not make the top 16.
All right,
Devin is upset.
Yeah, Evan takes issues with this.
Devin, you have to keep in mind there's already Altars of Madness on the list. So I mean, if I'm going to pick, if it was down to Covenant and Altars of Madness at the very end, I'm picking Altars. So
right,
yeah. All right, next up, we've got, to finish out the second round, we've got Dark Throne Soulside Journey against Immolations Here and After. Another tough choice for me.
Not for me.
Who's going first?
I think actually maybe I do go first on this. I'll go first.
Yeah, because Patrick.
I am taking Here and After all day, every day. Again, Soulside is my Duke in this bracket. I hate Duke basketball. And I just can't get into Soulside Journey yet. Maybe it'll happen someday. But Soulside is knocking out albums I like much better. So, and I like Here and After a lot. It's not just a troll vote. Definitely Immolations Here and After gets the first vote from me. But it's got to go up against one pretty hardcore Soulside fan here. And Patrick voted for Soulside in the first round too. So don't know if Here and After can get that second vote. We'll see. Marty, make it official.
Yep, I'm a Soulside guy. I love Here and After. It's a great classic album, but Soulside Journey has got to live on for me.
Okay.
I probably spun it way more.
All right, so Patrick has a tough call to make.
Yeah, I do. It actually isn't that tough for me, even though I love Soulside Journey. I'm going to go with Here and After.
All right. One, enter. See, I hit enter and it zeroes out the. Okay.
Okay.
I think it made it there. Okay, here we go. Everything is right. Is everything right, Simon? I think everything's right.
Is that everything for the second round?
Oops, see, right here. Symphonies. This one didn't go through.
Yeah, right.
Who picked? That was like 3-0 for Symphonies, I believe. Oh my God. See,
that's okay. Just take a minute. We got through the second round there quite fast, so take a moment and make sure things look okay. And thanks to everybody in the chat for tuning in tonight and helping out on some of these. Some of these I could pick, but I wanted the chat to have a chance to be heard also. So appreciate y'all voting when you've been called upon to make some choices. See.
Boy, the top one in the next round is kind of sucky. We're starting to get down to the shitty.
This is the round of Sweet 16, so there's only 16 left.
It's like all the 1 seeds made it, all the 2 seeds made it.
There's not been
these are the big dogs.
Yeah, it's getting down that way. So give me just a minute, if you would, please, Marty.
What's that?
Say, give me just a minute before we start this round, if you would. I'm just again cleaning up things over here where I'm sort of keeping scores in case we want to look at them after the fact tonight.
So, people, what do you think? Is this something we should do again? Patrick brought a cool thing to us, and what do you think? Should we continue doing these in the future sporadically? They're fun.
And some folks have said in the chat, we could, in theory, do this for like other genres and stuff. And we don't have to do 64 every time either. We could do any increment that breaks down. So we could do 32 or 64. I think there are 16 Halloween albums, so Marty can build a Halloween bracket. Just saying. Folks in the chat have already been wondering if that's going to happen.
Can Chameleon make it to the second round? Probably not.
I will rage quit the internet. I don't care what it's paired against.
Set all of his computers on fire. Everything up in flames. The whole house.
I will take the field against Chameleon. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll be ready here in just a minute. I'm just making sure I've got the right ones advancing.
Well, I'm glad everybody's enjoying this. Very cool. Patrick, again, thank you for bringing the idea to us. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fun.
Yep.
Me and Aaron
I mean, folks are outraged
Me and Aaron
sometimes,
can do
but
a
it's
hip
all
hop
in good fun.
bracket.
What'd you say, Patrick?
Me and Aaron can do a hip hop
Yeah.
bracket. Well,
Should do a hip hop one over on the Metal Theologian channel, and I'll send the bracket over to Aaron.
Okay, yeah, I missed copying one winner, but that's no problem. I'll pick it up as we go through things here. So, okay, we've got 16 albums left. Let's dive into the round of Sweet 16, and after this, there will be only 8.
All right. Well, we've got Morbid Angels, Blessed Are the Sick, up against Carcass, Symphonies of Sickness.
Oh, boy.
okay.
It gets hard.
Who's first?
Who starts? Let's start back at the top with Patrick.
Yep.
Let's do that. Okay.
Go back to the top of the key.
A couple of years ago, I would have, this would have been easier for me. A couple of years ago, I would have chosen Symphonies of Sickness. Every time I revisit Blessed Are the Sick, I like it more. What's that song called? Brainstorm is an awesome track on Blessed Are the Sick.
A lot of great songs on
Yeah.
My Kingdom Come.
Right. Still have necroticism. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Blessed Are the Sick.
Okay. First vote for Morbid Angel here. And I have the second vote. People aren't going to like this, but Blessed Are the Sick.
Nice.
It is that.
Happening.
Again,
What is happening right now?
what is happening is that Symphonies of Sickness is running into a buzzsaw. They are feeling the sickness. Actually, both these films are pretty sick, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, the obvious answer here was Carcass, Symphonies of Sickness, but my co-compatriots over here have been sniffing glue or something. Here we go.
This is what March Madness is about.
Right.
Sometimes the big dogs go down when you least expect it. And it's not exactly like this is a Cinderella moment, because Blessed Are the Sick is, still pretty heavyweight.
Let the record show on this day that I chose correctly, and I chose I chose Symphonies of Sickness without even blinking an eye. Simon, you would welcome me with open arms in Australia, would you not? Anyway.
Marty's not quitting the internet. He's quitting America.
I'm quitting America for sure. Okay, here we go. Next up, we've got Suffocation, Pierce from Within, up against Demigod's Slumber of Sullen Eyes.
Okay.
Kind of a nasty one.
Yeah, okay. I start on this one. Suffocation. Suffocation's fine. I just don't listen to them a whole lot. Slumber, sort of a top-notch album from that scene. I will cast the first vote for Slumber over Pierced. And Marty will cast the second vote.
I think the probably favorite choice here would be Pierced, but man,
I'm guessing so. But
I think I prefer if you put these two records next to each other on the table and said, what are we listening to? I'm grabbing Slumber. I just am. So Slumber for me.
Ah, okay. So Patrick, it's already decided, but you can definitely take that last minute shot after the buzzer's gone off.
My sleeper, my Cinderella, my darling here is being defeated.
My precious.
Oh, Patrick doesn't believe in anything anymore.
No.
You're picking
I
Pierce?
I would go with Pierce from Within. Again, top 5 death metal album for me. Slumber, Sullen Eyes. It just doesn't fit in that space for me in terms of all time.
They're two very different albums too, which isn't necessarily a very fair.
Right.
And Slumber is going to get shot down in a minute for the next round because it's up against Blessed Are the Sick. So
that could be tough. We'll see. We know. Yeah. Well, you never know. You never know. Yeah. Dreams are definitely getting crushed this round so far. Yeah. Marty's sick, and now Patrick's sick. And
this next one's hard.
No, it's not.
So we got
you get the first call on this one.
Yeah, we got Gorefest False up against Asphyx the Rack. God, it kills me to say goodbye to the rack, but I love false. That's Gorefest. I gotta go with Gorefest here. It's a catchier record, heavy. Get a Life. Come on, what a great song. Anyway, Glorious Dead leadoff track. Oh my God.
Yeah. False. The title track, great.
Yep.
Um,
Better drummer all the way around.
So Marty's picked false. Patrick, are you going with false also?
I'm gonna go to the chat for this one.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute now. I don't know if they can be trusted.
Let's back up here. I'll start counting.
Ooh, it looks close.
Yeah, I've got it. Let me get back to the first vote. Let's see. So we're doing false versus the rack.
Oh my God.
Gorefest for 1 is fixed to Gorefest. So 2-1 Gorefest, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4, 3-4. Tied at 4 with Rhinepest's vote. 4-5, 4-6, 4-7. Grumped 5-7, 6-7, 6-8, 6-9, 7-9. It's still close. David's makes it 7-10 as fix. Sunday says no horse in this race. All right, we're at 7-10. Metal Kev votes false. That makes it 8-10. Give folks a few more seconds since this is pretty close. I've got 8-10 as my count so far. Rack gets another vote, makes it 8-11. That's wrong. 8-11.
Gromp got false.
Going once.
Do you count
Going
Gromp's?
twice.
Do you count Gromp's pick?
Yes, Grump's false makes it 9-10.
Ryan,
Ryan makes
go
it
to
9-11. 11. Last call, everybody. Going once. Going twice. All right, we got to call it there. And yep,
you're the
rack moves
tiebreaker,
on.
Alan. Oh no, you already picked the rack, Alan.
That's true. That was only the second vote, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
okay.
the tiebreaker, which
I will pick the rack over false.
I know.
Yep.
It's fine.
So
it's fine. Gorefest, let the record be shown and be known that I've chose correctly in a lot of these tonight. I've been thwarted several times by our friends in the chat, our so-called friends in the chat. That's okay. We still love you. We've got next up Incantations, Onward to Golgotha, and up against Entomb's Left Hand Path. That's kind of
I don't like this pair.
Yeah.
What did Patrick say earlier? I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's Patrick's pick too first.
Okay. So, depending on the mood I'm in, I'll sometimes, for some reason, think that Left Hand Path is overrated. But it's just because I'm not a huge fan of HM2, actually, like as a guitar tone. But I'm gonna go with Left Hand Path here. It's just the songs. The songs are so strong.
Yeah, really well written songs.
Songs are so
Catchy.
strong. Yeah. I don't think every song is amazing, but they're all at least great. And yeah, I'm gonna go with Left Hand Path here.
Okay, Alan.
I'm giving my vote to the chat and letting them count. And currently it is 6-3 Left Hand Path. That's as of Petrux's vote. Metal Overcure makes it 7-3. William makes it 7-4 because he voted for Incantation. 7-4.
Wade, the opponent
see.
is Incantations. Onward to Golgotha is a opponent.
Yeah, Skinwalker votes Incantation. Onward, that makes it 7-5. Then Ryan votes Left Hand Path, makes it 8-5.
Patrick's trying to cheat by voting twice. Bastard. See how they do it in St. Louis.
Donut votes for Onward 8-5, 8-6 now. Sunday goes Left Hand Path, so 9-6. Ryan Pest says, I don't know. Kamos votes for Left Hand Path. So that's 10-6. Then Falafel makes it 10-7. Jason makes it 11-7. Okay, Kellen makes it 11-8. Yeah, Left Hand Path's maintaining its lead by just a little bit. It's close. There's a few votes here for Incantation to close, but Left Hand Path still is ahead by 2. Still tied.
Simon is cheating too. What is going on here?
Last minute, see, Colto votes for Incantation. This one is very close. Jeff votes for Left Hand. Incantation can't quite catch Left Hand Path. Wade votes for Left Hand Path. Yeah, okay, that's a ton of votes. Left Hand Path is staying ahead by just a couple of votes. So Left Hand Path is getting my vote there.
Okay. So I'm going to go. I'm the tiebreaker here.
I guess you're the tiebreaker.
I got to go Left Hand Path. I mean, I love Onward to Golgotha. It's great.
Wait, what, Patrick?
I chose Left Hand Path.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, you're right. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's actually, so, yeah, Marty, you're off the hook.
All right, cool.
All right.
Left Hand Path is up to the next round, and we've got poor Autopsy. Even though Chris Reifert's on Scream Bloody Gore, we've got Death Scream Bloody Gore against Autopsy's Mental Funeral. That's a good toss up. That's a good mix up.
That's in a way they should fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Scream Bloody Gore versus Mental Funeral this time, and I go first this time, I think.
Yeah.
I said that like it was a good thing, and now I'm thinking about it, and it's not. Mental Funeral, Scream Bloody Gore. Okay, I'm not going to drag this out. I want to go for Mental Funeral. Scream Bloody Gore is great, but Mental Funeral is a monster.
It is a monster.
When given a choice, I will often pick the death metal album that goes for a little bit of the slower, darker death doom kind of flavor, and Mental Funeral practically invents that. So, sorry, no Zombie Ritual for me on this round. I got to go for Mental Funeral as the first vote.
Man, this is a hard one. It really is, because both of these are the right answer. They really are.
And as William agrees, both these are rippers, and yeah.
Mutilation. God, what a great freaking song.
Tony takes issue with my pick. I guess guessing Tony's going to that Zombie Ritual. That's cool.
Beyond the Unholy Grave. What a great song. I gotta go, man. I gotta go with Scream Bloody Gore here. It's my first death metal record. I'm going Scream Bloody Gore.
All right, Patrick.
Yeah, I listened to Scream Bloody Gore more. I like Autopsy's debut more. I'm trying to think, this is just sort of like memorable songs and Zombie Ritual, Evil Dead, Mutilation. I'm going to go with Scream Bloody Gore.
All right.
That hurts. I can't fault anybody for it.
No, I mean, they're both the right answer. So it's tough.
All of our hearts have been broken throughout the night.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Again, there's 63 losers before this is over.
Oh, man. There's not this one, but the one after this is a real sad one. Anyway.
What's next, though?
We got Asphyx, Last One on Earth, up against Immolation's Dawn of Possession. This is a pretty easy one. I feel this is an easy. I go first, right?
You get to go first, yes.
Yeah, this is Dawn of Possession all day. It's a much better album. Again, great old school, catchy riffs, catchy songs, evil vibe. Going with Dawn of Possession.
Okay.
Patrick.
Yeah, I'll have to agree with Marty. Dawn of Possession for me.
What do you think, Alan?
Well, yeah, I feel bad for William. Sorry about that. Let's see. Dawn is probably the better album. These two are pretty even for me. I was going to give it to the chat, but it's pretty clear that, yeah, it's Dawn in a runaway. I got to say, I'm impressed. I didn't know how Dawn of Possession... I didn't know where it ranked among Immolation albums for folks. I didn't know if folks thought of it as like, it's, they got better later or not, but there's been a lot of love for Dawn. It's really steamrolled.
It's a great record. It really is a great record.
There's nothing wrong with it. I like it, but I'm just kind of impressed that, how strong and how much support it's gotten throughout the night.
And stylistically, this album, Dawn of Possession, and their later album, Atonement, are the two albums that are the most dissimilar from the rest of their catalog. Atonement, I mean, they both still sound like Immolation. People, don't get me wrong, but they started to get more dark and complex as they went. And We're Dawn Possession, it has more of a, like I said, an old school catchy death metal. Atonement, they're doing a lot of different things that they really never did. A lot of more simplistic, like bendy type of riffs. I don't know. There's something about Atonement that's really special too. But yeah, I mean, it's a standout Immolation album for sure. For me anyway.
Gromp has also looked ahead and agrees with you, Marty, that this next one's apparently bad. I haven't looked ahead. What have we got next?
This next one sucks. It's Altars of Madness up against Necroticism.
Oh,
this one,
and here we are.
This is
entertain us.
This is the bullshit pick of the night. I think one of the bullshit picks of the night.
Someone's got. Hey, you want to be the best? You got to beat the best.
It's Alan goes first.
No, I went first on the last one.
God damn it!
You go first.
Why do I have to go first?
Because it's your turn to go first. We'll be right back after this TV timeout.
I am going with Necroticism, Descanting the Insalubrious by Carcass. And it's, again, there's no wrong answer here. But I'm going Necroticism. Altars of Madness is a fantastic, amazing record. But I'm going with Carcass just because I don't want to talk about this anymore. I just want to get this one over with and move on to the next one.
Okay, Necroticism gets the first vote.
So, yeah.
Kellen says, "I trust none of you."
Yeah, that's fair.
Wrong again. There's
Altars of Madness probably has more memorable songs. I'm going to play Necroticism a lot more often. That's going to continue to be the case. I'm choosing Necroticism.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's already 2 votes for Necroticism. All right. The chat is heavily on, and William, yes, I did quote Nirvana. The chat's heavily on Altars. I mean, Carcass definitely is getting a chunk of votes, but it's probably like 3-1 Altars. I would have gone with Altars on this one too, I think, but it doesn't matter. We've got 2 votes for Necroticism. Altars of Madness does not make the top 8.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
That's what happened. Yeah. But again, if you're going to be the last one standing, it was going to have to face Necroticism sooner or later. So we got one last pair, I think, for this round of 16.
Yep, and it's Dismembers like an ever-flowing stream up against Immolations Here and After.
Yep, and Patrick gets to start on this one.
What's the matchup again?
Like an ever-flowing stream against Here and After.
Okay. Immolation is one of my favorite death metal bands. Here and After is one of their best albums. I want to go with Like an Ever-Flowing Stream.
Aha.
He gives all the praise to Immolation and then stabs them in the back.
And shits in their Wheaties. Snakes.
They're the best band. This is one of their best albums. Vigna's hair is so soft,
silky and long.
Fuck them. I'm taking the other one. Patrick with the heel turn out of nowhere.
He doesn't look real proud. He looks like he just.
I surprised myself there.
He looks like he did something wrong. He's got that look on his face.
The album flow.
Oh my. Okay. Let's no. Got to Here and After. Got to. Yeah. I will do what Patrick was about to do. Immolation, great band, fantastic album, and there will be no heel swerve when the ref isn't looking. I will stick to voting for Here and After. Marty gets the deciding vote on this one.
Patrick, with the power of teamwork, you and I, we came together in our moment of deep sadness, and we are voting Like an Ever-Flowing Stream ahead to the next round because it is a killer album. You know, Here and After is killer album too. Don't get us wrong.
I'm okay with this because it's got to face Necroticism in the next round.
No, necroticism. Oh yeah, that is
Yeah.
still in here. Yeah.
So yeah, that stream's going to run dry pretty fast.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Immolation, you shall be avenged.
We can redeem ourselves.
Well, people that are all bent out of shape about Morbid Angel getting voted out. We've got Blessed Are the Sick up against Slumber of Sullen
Before we
Eyes.
jump in, let's just read through the top 8 because we're down to 8 now.
Okay.
So here's the 8 albums that are left, folks. And I think this is the order they'll be paired in, but Marty can correct.
Yeah,
So
I can name them off as we go here. We got Blessed
Yeah.
Are the Sick
Mhm.
and Slumber of Sullen Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We've got The Rack and Left Hand Path.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Scream Bloody Gore and Dawn of Possession.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Necroticism and Like an Ever Flowing Stream.
Those are the 8 that we are left with. Shall we surge forward, or is there anything else we want to do to catch our
Patrick
breath
has
here?
gone strangely quiet after his last vote. I think he's
Yeah.
still a little bit heartbroken over that, but it's fine.
I surprised
Fine.
myself there.
All right. Well, next up, we're getting down to nitty gritty. We've got Blessed Are the Sick up against The Slumber of Sullen Eyes by Demigod.
Yep. Patrick, begin the
Okay.
proceedings, please. We're back to the top of the chain, I think.
Yeah, that's fine. So, yeah, every time I revisit Blessed Are the Sick, I just recall how much I really like that album. The guitar work, the songs, of course.
Yeah. Weird production, but it works for the
Right.
album. It's
Well said.
different.
That's
Right.
well said, Marty. Yeah.
Slumber of Sullen Eyes is like more. It's somewhat of an easier listen in terms of my taste, in terms of what I usually do put on. I'm gonna go for Slumber of Sullen Eyes a lot on average, but I'm thinking of the guitar work, thinking of the impact somewhat in this round. I'm gonna go with Blessed Are the Sick.
I was waiting for him to do another heel turn.
Might be a heel turn. We don't know.
I'm just like, no. Again, you're definitely leaning Blessed. Just like, is he going to do it twice in a row and then just suddenly do a rug pull for the other album? All right, I've got the second vote, and Slumber of Sullen Eyes, obviously a very cool album. There's a reason it's considered a staple out of that Finnish scene. But Blessed Are the Sick. Yep.
It's blessed for me too. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the Demigod album, but it's
Sure, absolutely.
It's just this is the way it should be.
Yeah, has to be Blessed in this case. Okay, Blessed's the first one into our final 4.
All right, next up we have Asphyx the Rack up against Entomb's Left Hand Path. You're up, Alan.
Yeah, the Asphyx fanboy in me wants to pick the Rack really bad. Left Hand Path obviously is like, the historical document. Chat. You get your chat, do your thing.
You're wussing out on it.
I want the chat to be involved. They're hanging with us all night. They should get a say in this. 2, 3, 3 to 1, 3 to 2, 4 to 2 in Zoom with Zach's vote. 2, 5 to 2, 6 to 2, 6, 3, 6, 4, 7, 4, 7, 5, 8, 5, 9, 5, 10, 5. Okay. Asphyx held in there for a minute, but Left Hand Path is now running away with it a bit. Left Hand Path.
Kellen is flipping tables.
It is.
What's I missed?
If someone told me that we would be in the Elite 8 and Blessed Are the Sick as the remaining Morbid album, what has the world come to?
Left Hand Path. The chat is Asphyx had a good showing there. They didn't get completely stomped, but the chat picks Left Hand Path. So that's the first vote. Marty?
I pick Left Hand Path as well. It kills me because The Rack is a classic crushing album, but Left Hand Path is just too classic. It's too classic to let. I know so is Altars of Madness, but I don't know. Left Hand Path is. It's a very influential album. It's a humongous album. It's a well-written, excellent songs written by a bunch of kids, man, that still hold up to this day. It's craziness.
All fair points. Patrick, what was your vote going to be?
Yeah, Left Hand Path for sure.
Okay.
I'm kind of surprised at how far the Rack made it, to be honest. It's just because
I am a little bit. I am a little bit also. I like the album a lot, but I am a little surprised it advanced. I didn't think it would get more. I thought, 1 or 2 rounds, but yeah, I didn't think about it in the 8, but it did. Good for it. All right, Marty, our third matchup for this round.
All right. Is Scream Bloody Gore up against Dawn of Possession? Is it my turn first?
It is your turn. Yep.
I'm going with Scream Bloody Gore. It's a tough call, but again, I've got way more history with Scream Bloody Gore. Like I said, the first death metal record I ever bought, and it rules. The riffs to this day are among my favorite in their catalog. The songs, Chuck's vocals are so youthful and just scathing. His screams when he does the chorus for Evil Dead, when he screams evil at the top of like blood curdling scream. God, it's so good. So good. Anyway, Scream Bloody Gore.
Yep. And Aaron, thanks for looking for the anti-bot thing. So folks, make sure you see Aaron's thing here. If you're posting messages and they're not showing up, we'll try to get that rolled back. But
what happened? What's going on?
Oh, Aaron tried something with the chat settings to keep the bots out better, but he wanted to make sure that it wasn't blocking anybody's real comments either.
Okay. Thanks, Aaron.
All right, so you've got Scream Bloody Gore with the first vote, Marty. Patrick, are you going to do it to Immolation again?
Okay, so no, I'm not. I'm going to choose Dawn of Possession. It's what I listen to more at this point in my life, and I think that's going to hold up. So yeah, Dawn of Possession.
Okay, so it is 1-1. Scream Bloody Gore hanging on by its rotted fingernails here. That means I get the deciding vote. I'll vote on this one. I got to go with Scream Bloody Gore out of these two. Dawn of Possession, again, good album. Scream Bloody Gore, kind of seminal album. So Scream Bloody Gore will advance to our final 4. And that'll leave us with one last Elite 8 matchup.
All right. We've got Carcass's Necroticism up against Dismembers like an ever-flowing stream.
Yep, and Patrick gets first say on this one.
Okay, so I'm going to redeem myself with the chat here. And Alan, Necroticism wins here. It just has everything about it. It has the charm. It still sounds unique compared to albums that are coming out now. You can't say that about like an ever-flowing stream, in my opinion. Necroticism. Just I can keep going back to that album all the time. That's my choice.
Yeah. Yep. And I will second that. Yeah. Necroticism pretty easily here for me.
I'm going to go with Necroticism as well, as much as it breaks my heart to say goodbye to Dismember here, because this is a classic, amazing album.
It had a good run.
Beats it. Yeah.
Yeah. Top 8 is nothing to be ashamed of.
Nope. All right.
So our last 4 albums are Blessed Are the Sick, Left Hand Path, Scream Bloody Gore, and Necroticism for the biggest band names in death metal lore. And here we are at the end.
All right. Blessed Are the Sick against Left Hand Path.
Am I going first again?
Yep.
Right.
We've had you go first each round. So, start us off, please, Patrick.
Yeah, so again, this time just track for track, Left Hand Path, Rebel in Flesh, this heavy song, great drum work.
Skinner Alive, oh my God, what a great song.
Bitter Loss, one of my favorite tracks on here.
Yep.
And I don't have, in terms of songs, that's not where my brain goes for Blessed Are the Sick. As far as albums, sure, I'm going to put it on. I love it. Left Hand Path is my choice.
Okay. So first vote is for Entombed.
And I'll be right back.
Sure. Yeah, this one, obviously, they're all tough at this point. Everything Patrick said about Entombed is correct. But I definitely have more history and more just personal love for Blessed Are the Sick. So I will vote for Morbid Angel, and we'll let Marty make the call on this one. Well, it's a 1-1 tie as we pass the ball to the Worm.
It is unfortunate Altars is not on this list. that might have dethroned. I don't know. Would it have dethroned Left Hand Path? I don't know.
Couldn't get past necroticism, so
it did not get past necroticism. I got to go with Left Hand Path here. I probably listened to it more.
It's fair. Yep. No, can't fault any of the picks at this point.
What did you pick? You picked Morbid Angel.
I picked Blessed. Yeah, I definitely play that one more, and it's just more of a personal favorite than Left Hand Path. Not by a huge amount, but yep.
All right. Here we go.
And then we got the second of our final four matches.
Okay. Who goes first here? I think it's
I do in
Alan's
this.
next.
Yep. Patrick went first, so I go first. So the matchup is Scream Bloody Gore versus Necroticism.
Yep.
Chat, do your thing. I'm giving it to you. I love them both. And I want the chat. We've got a lot of people that have stayed active with us all night. Their voices should be heard. We still got 89 folks watching live. You got about 1 minute to start picking between Scream Bloody Gore and Necroticism. Death, Carcass, Death. So it's about 2 to 4 right now. 2 to 5.
Simon, I totally did. I totally screwed that up. I said Skinner Alive on a Tomb record.
Carcass.
Oh well, whatever.
Carcass. Scream Bloody Gore.
I did,
Death,
Devin.
Death,
I fucked up.
Gore. Scream Bloody Gore's trying to catch up. Scream Bloody Gore's still behind by a couple of votes. Criticism. Another vote for Carcass. Okay, Carcass has maintained a small lead, but they've been ahead for pretty much the entire game.
It's a tough one. It's a tough pick. I love Scream Bloody Gore, but
Yep.
I think Necroticism is a superior record. So it's a sweep. 3-0.
And I mean that makes sense. Yep. So okay. And then there were two.
Yep. So we got Left Hand Path up against Necroticism.
Okay. Well, this is like, yeah. Am I going first, by the way? Or I think Marty should go first this time. That's what I want to see.
I mean, I can.
That's fair. Yeah, we'll keep going through. Yeah. So Marty, you get the first vote on our final matchup: Left Hand Path versus Necroticism.
Well, I like Necroticism for the song "Skin Her Alive." By the way, everybody. Derp. Necroticism for me. I mean, no wrong answer here. Both of these are eternal classics, but there is something about symphonies and Necroticism that still resonate to this day. I've ripped the riffs off numerous times in different bands I've been in. It's just part of the DNA at this point. So Necroticism for me. Love it.
Oh,
classic.
all right.
Perfect
Yeah.
album.
If you're comparing, all the performances, guitars, vocals, drums, the songs, the lyrical themes, the concept, I'm gonna go with Necroticism all day here.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. I think, Necroticism has had an edge here in the chat, and I would probably have to pick it at the end of the day, too. So, yeah, interesting. It was one of the very few third albums that was in the bracket. And at the end, the one left standing is Carcass's Necroticism. All right. So, wrapping up. What do we think here, folks? Chat. Fun exercise? Mind-meltingly frustrating? Let's see.
It's fun.
Yeah, interested in feedback on this. Because, like Marty said, we could do this, with other, bands or other styles.
The Winter's Chameleon.
Let's see. Folks have mentioned when we started, some folks were pointing some things out. So chat, just a theoretical question. If there was one album you would have thrown in that was not in the bracket to begin with, what album would people have liked to have seen? There's no perfect way to build the bracket. Yes, there were some weaker albums we could have left out. Maybe there were some stronger things we could have worked in, but what do folks think? What was like the one glaring admission from people's point of view?
There's one thing I would do differently, I think. I wouldn't have made it the first two. I would have made it just all the first albums.
Just all debut
all
albums.
First albums, all second album, do another bracket of all second albums, whatever. But I think having, two different Morbid Angels and two different Carcasses, and it's kind of unfair to a lot of the bands that, Demigod is not going to survive up against those classics, but
yeah, don't know. I mean, it's a fair point. I mean, we might have been stretched real thin to have gotten to 64 simply debut albums. I'm not sure. And most of the bands did have 2 entries. There were fewer bands that only had 1, and a lot of them were just bands like a Demolich or a Demigod, where
danger.
There was never a second album really to put in. Wade says Death Symbolic. Yeah, that would have gotten into later albums.
Diabolical Summoning by Sinister.
Slaughter of the Soul from At the Gates. That would have been interesting. Yeah, we didn't do a whole lot of the mellow death ones.
The first In Flames album, Lunar Strain, is my favorite
Patrick
album.
Patrick thought about putting that in as one of his spoilers. Rind, I thought about putting in Nile. That did cross my mind.
It depends what year, what the year constraints are too.
Yep.
It was, and that was kind of my thought. I was like, is Nile? Nile was a late '90s thing. Is that still fair? Obviously, they're a classic band, but they would have felt a little out of place next to everything else.
I was first considering, I was thinking 87 to 99 for some reason. It's because that gives a lot more bands to have their first albums.
It would,
something like that.
Mr. Biscuits has a way for you to keep the score straight next time, Marty.
I found that if I typed in the second one first and then put in the first number, it would erase things, and I have to start with anyway. I figured it out. It took me a minute.
Yeah, Skinwalker. That was another one Patrick really thought about putting into the bracket.
That's a great record. Screams of Anguish is a great record.
That too, yeah.
William is seeking legal advice here. Steve calls.
It's why my channel is called Heavy Therapy. After all, it's supposed to make you feel crazy and existential, and
The Revenant, Prophecies of a Dying World. Yeah. Like I said, when it was all said and done, I felt like a Corellian Isthmus should probably have been in there, but it slipped through the cracks.
Donut Mortician wouldn't have survived round 1, I don't think, but I could be wrong there. I could be wrong. Transcendence to Peripheral. That's a great record.
I thought about that one. That one felt a little, it's so different to other things. It felt like it was always going to be comparing oranges to jackhammers. It's the same reason I didn't put Cynic's Focus in the bracket. It's just so outside the box from what everything else is doing. It would have just been a weird comparison every time.
Convulse.
We could also do a bracket on the one and done bands that just put out one album.
Yep.
Bands like Crimson Relic or
didn't Crimson Relic have 2 albums?
No, this one, Purgatory's Reign. They were Divine Eve, and then they changed their name to Crimson Relic. I don't know if they went back to Divine Eve or not afterwards. They're very similar sounding bands.
I know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of Crimson Thorns. Sorry. Yep. All right. Yeah, some other interesting ones there.
Put in Gutted, Bleed for Us to Live. That'd be a good.
I thought about that one. I figured that would be so much of a dark horse it wouldn't get very far.
Yeah,
so
great record though. Good
Wade, that one was in an early draft of the bracket, but again, the kind of weirdness factor there made it feel weird. Oh yeah, Falafel Theorians of Darkness would have been a good one.
That's a great record.
Yeah, Culto. Napalm was in an early draft of bracket, but again, with the first 2 being very rooted in grindcore, it felt a little weird to put them up against mostly not bands that had nothing to do with grind. So we ended up taking Napalm out.
Cemetery and Evil Shade of Grey. Seance,
that was one I wanted to see in, but
Seance for Never Laid to Rest.
Tomb of the Mutilated. Yeah, that came us with just how many, you could almost do a bracket on Cannibal albums for a lot of folks. And Cannibal was one of the bands early on. I was like, we should just stick to maybe 2 albums each, first 2 albums, and make that kind of the baseline. Because otherwise, you could put tons of Cannibal albums in. We could have put probably 4 Morbid Angel albums in, 4 or 5 Carcass. And at that point, it's something is just a big chunk of the catalog from all the big name bands, and there's nothing. I didn't know if that would be nearly as interesting.
Right.
But no, all good suggestions.
Yeah, more Finnish albums for sure. Could have been going in there. I mean, we had some 3 or 4.
Yeah. Corellianismus should have been. Right. That's the one I probably regret leaving out the most. Oops, sorry, I keep hitting the wrong thing there. Yeah, Biscuits at Nile could definitely have been a thing.
Deceased.
Let's see.
What year was that first Deceased record? Like
pretty early.
I want to say 90.
Okay, right.
Let's remind us a year. I may be wrong. Yeah.
91. 91, Luck of the Corpse. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, is it Jeff's birthday? I missed that. Happy birthday, Jeff.
I think his birthday is Sunday or Monday, but he's having a birthday fun time stream tomorrow night.
That's an interesting one, Devin. I got God Dethroned. I just replayed one of their albums, and they've held up really well. Dying Fetus, that could be an interesting one to choose. Yep. Kind of the Nile thing where they come along a little later. Donut Tales. Yeah, Tales would again just be such an odd comparison to make to some of the other ones. Classic album, of course.
David is asking if Grave was there. Grave was there. The first 2 Grave albums were there, yeah.
Yeah, Grave divided itself in the first round, so there was some early attrition, kind of a self-inflicted wound there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just weird the way the randomizer. And again, most of the bands we included 2 albums from, so in a way, I'm not surprised that it happened once. Let's see, Sadist Above the Light. I don't know that one. Rune Magic's pretty cool, but yeah, maybe a little too late, Devin. But yeah, cool band. Yeah.
Ooh, Pungent Stench, good pick. Been Caught Buttering or For God Your Soul from Your Flesh.
Did not think of that. Yeah, didn't think of Disharmonic Orchestra too. I always pair those bands together for some reason. I always forget about.
Well, they had a split together early on, and they're from the same country, Austria.
Yeah. Exhumed. Now there's a band I'm not very familiar with. So yeah, and Marty and Patrick didn't bring them up, so I didn't think about bringing them up.
I thought about Gore Metal, but it didn't fit. It just didn't fit to me.
Fair.
Too late, maybe too.
Yep. Patrick, Marty, anything that you want to ask the chat for some feedback on before we wrap this up?
I think we threw it out there and people liked it. We'll definitely do this again. It won't be every week, but maybe a couple times a year we'll dust off the bracket and try her again. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. The last question, then Patrick, did you have a question? And then I've got one last one.
No, I don't have any more questions. Thanks for that. Everybody staying for so long.
Yeah.
Definitely appreciate it. Last question, chat. Was the bracket fairly visible on screen, or did you really have to kind of go off the verbal cues when we were calling out the album titles? I'm just wondering if the bracket showed up in large enough font size, stuff like that, so that we know if we need to make some tweaks next time we try this.
Well, there's no tweak in the program I used, other than the fact that it was free. That was awesome.
It'd be like switching to a different program that maybe has more, because you found some that had more visuals on screen, but they might have had other issues.
It all depends on the phone. It's too small, and Nick says he could see it well. So
okay, yeah, on a phone I can imagine it would be tough. On a PC, it was good. David says fairly visible on Simon's TV. Sunday's got a giant TV, so that's cool. Aaron had to squint at his TV. Not too visible on iPhone. Okay.
Rick was asking what was the newest album, and I think it was None So Vile, which is like 96. I think
Cryptopsy was the quote unquote youngest band in the bracket.
Right.
Let's see. Okay, so it sounds like phone, and I don't think there's anything we could do about it on a phone. I don't think.
Yeah, there's very little. Like I said, the other really cool program it costs like $120 a year,
and it had to be bought a year at a time.
I'm not pulling the trigger on
Yeah, that one was too much. But yeah. Okay. It sounds like in general it worked pretty well, except for folks on the phone. We tried to make sure we were repeating album titles frequently so that even if you were having trouble seeing it, you could still keep on top of what was going on. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind exercise, but a really cool one. So once again, big thanks to you, Patrick, for bringing up the idea of like, hey guys, let's play a game.
Yeah, thank you guys.
And we did, and it was pretty awesome.
That was a great idea. Yeah. And please, people, if you are not familiar with Heavy Therapy, links in the description. Go check out Patrick's channel.
Links
great job. He does an awesome job. Lots of great insight on some of this newer death metal that's coming out. Yeah, for sure. You got anything coming up, Patrick, you want to promote or talk about?
I'm working on my top 40 death metal albums of the decade so far. It's been 5 years, so the cutoff is 2020 to 2024. There's been a lot of good new death metal, so I'm excited to record those in the next few weeks and get them up.
Nice. Cool. Alan, Let's Talk Metal Tuesday. What you got coming?
I don't know. I recorded a bunch of videos over the past week or two, so I've got a stack I can choose from. I'm gonna have to think. I have one that kind of plays off of y'all's Dark Throne stream a little bit, so I might do that one. It's not a Dark Throne ranking. I don't know their catalog that well. But there was something that came up during the Dark Throne stream that Austin said that I thought was really interesting and would make like a really good side tangent. So I turned it into a side tangent.
Okay.
So I might post that one since it's, I don't want to let that one wait too long past the Dark Throne stream. So maybe I'll dial that one up for Tuesday.
Awesome. Fun.
Yep. And Marty, what have we got next week on Heavy Metallurgy?
Jimmy from Future Ruins debut review on the channel will be the new Contreras album on Monday. So that's coming. And I need to do some reviews this weekend. We'll hopefully get that tightened up. But yeah, we had a really busy week again. A couple new reviews up for you. Elven King and along with Brainstorm, and also Lady Beast and Savage Master from Alan and Logan. And Regurgitate deep dive on their Sickening Bliss, their final album, Sickening Bliss. That was on Wednesday. So a lot of stuff to peruse over the week. Next week should be another fun time on Heavy Metallurgy. Thank you all for hanging out tonight. It's always great to see you folks here in the chat supporting us, and also in the Discord server all week. It's a busy, fun time. You guys are, I don't know how much work you're getting done at your jobs. Don't get in trouble, but
work from home. I do it too. So.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I guess, Patrick, don't hang up. We'll chat for a minute, and everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you next week on Heavy Metallurgy. Cheers.
See you guys. Bye.